Welcome to Jacket Jockeys with Justin
And me.
and our very special guest,
Claude is back.
Claude is back.
Right? It's hard to introduce yourself.
No, he does it. He does it somehow without anonymous pronouns.
I
But
don't
hey,
know.
whatever. Do what you got to do.
I guess I could say with me, Jennifer.
That sounds
That's
weird. Why
an
would you say it
option.
like that?
I don't know because I couldn't decide what my name was supposed to be.
Jennifer.
Yeah. I guess that's why I don't do it.
Yeah, I think you shouldn't do that. I think it's a good bit. Just keep it at this point.
Well, this is the final episode of the of our little podcast within a podcast.
That's true. Our mini off-season Fromcast will probably return with Yellow Jackets whenever that comes back.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Yeah, it's gonna be great. But yeah, so this is covering MGM Plus's mystery horror drama acclaimed, starring Lost very own Harold Perrineau from. This is covering season 3, episode 10. This is a season 3 finale, and it's entitled Revelations, comma, or colon, the controversy remains, chapter 2.
And to really put the horror in mystery horror.
Yeah, there's I wouldn't say it's the most horror episode ever, but there's definitely some horror in it, no doubt. I would be loath to deny that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd call that baby situation pretty horror.
Yeah, for sure. That was the most horror thing, I think.
Yeah.
So, what'd you guys
So
think?
yeah, general thoughts before we dive into specifics here. Anyone want to say something?
Claude,
Claude,
I'm
do you want to
dying
say
hear
anything?
what
I
Or
mean,
no?
I'm not really known for saying things.
You're right. That's why I thought I should let you say something, because it's unusual for you.
Finally, say something. Yeah, I mean, overall thoughts. There were a couple things I liked about it. I would say overall, I think I felt myself a little bit let down by this season and what it ultimately came down to. So I, famously put a stake in the ground and said, this show's not about those children. There's no saving the children. The children in the past.
I remember.
And then shortly thereafter, they decided time travel was a thing and
Yep.
reincarnation is a
Yep.
thing. So, okay, course correct. So I'm still. I watched it very late last night, so I haven't really
Last
processed
night?
the whole thing. Yeah, I was up late, so I decided to.
Whoa. Okay, so you watched it like when it came out on the West Coast?
Yeah, I was like, let it percolate in my subconscious, so I'll have some great things
Yeah.
to say on this
That's a good
podcast.
idea.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
So we're gonna have a
let's see
really
what's up.
high bar.
The bar
You
is
know,
so high.
well, on the topic of predictions, I
Yeah.
had made 3 predictions that
Okay.
came true.
I can pick one.
One was a really obvious one, which was that Fatima would finally give birth. I think
Yeah.
everybody made that prediction, but I
Yeah.
did make a prediction at one point that she was going to give birth to one of the monsters,
Yeah.
and that was true.
Okay.
If you had
And
named
Nice.
the
That's a good
specific
one.
monster, it would have been more impressive
yeah,
than the list.
if
Okay,
I've
great.
really believed in that prediction, then I might have pushed it to the next level and
Made it
said
obvious
like,
why there would be a need for a particular one.
yeah. Okay, and so then the other prediction I made was that all of Jade's like figuring out would finally amount to something. And it did.
It did. It
Yep.
did.
Unfortunately for me on a personal level, Jim was instrumental in that. But it's okay.
It was his final episode, so
Yeah,
Well,
until Julie
yeah.
can figure out how to alter the timeline and bring him back. Julie and her
Which
wig. That wig.
guys,
Oh my god.
this show is
Sorry.
aping from Lost so much,
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And now when it's like we got to go back, and there's a scene we'll get to, and it's basically Ethan basically says whatever happened happened.
Yeah,
We're like,
I
yeah,
know. That's literally what I wrote in the notes.
I know, it's so funny. They go through the same thing. Maybe we can change the past.
Yup,
That
yup,
could be my
yup.
mission
She
now.
tried to be a Faraday, like, ooh,
Yep,
we can make it where all this bad stuff never
yep.
happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit disappointed that it's coming down to these very practical things about two parents that couldn't save their kids is seemingly the crux of what's happening here. And I might warm up to it over time, but I don't really like situations where like there's a large sprawling mystery, and although this happens a lot in stories, but
So much.
there's a large sprawling mystery, but it's really about, one or two or three people.
This one
And
simple thing, yeah.
everybody else is sort of tangential, and they're just sort of caught up in it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that throws me off a little bit. I wanted the place to be a little bit more what's the word? I guess I wanted the catalyst of this place to be something bigger than that. Something, I guess, more like otherworldly.
Yeah.
No, we still don't know
There's
how it happened. We still don't know the physics
yeah.
around what's happening with this stuff. So that's
So
still to be.
True.
so that gets at one of my beefs with this episode and this season, I guess, but really this episode is that okay, but there's a lot more going on. Like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, so there were these people and they sacrificed their children so that they could live forever, but then also what that means is that they live forever as monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But then what does that mean
And there's three
for
unanswered things in what you just said.
yeah,
Like
already,
why
yeah.
monsters? Why are they
Yeah.
eating people? Yeah.
And why are Tabitha and Jade and before them Miranda and Christopher like how did
Mm-hmm.
they does it like when you do this it like splits you into two people, like one who gets to go into the real world and be continuously reincarnated and one who becomes a monster in the from place. But anyway, that's not even that's not even the rant that I was starting on, which is like okay, but the trees, this plan doesn't say anything about the trees. And does that like how far back does that go? That like it started because they had the babies. I just like it does
Mm-hmm.
not account for everything. And I don't know. I feel like it's being presented as this like holistic answer, and it just doesn't hold. Also,
Mm-hmm.
cicadas. Why
Mm-hmm.
cicadas? Anyway, what do you got? What was your impression?
Jimstrumental. Can I say it?
But what is the
Jim
gin?
Instrumental.
Jimstrumental.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jim
Jim.
instrumental.
Yeah.
He plays a Jim
Jimstrumental
instrumental
role.
role.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say one more thing, and then I want to hand the mic
Sorry, was that
to
unhelpful?
you,
Go
Actually,
ahead.
so you can share your top of mind. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Jade was Jade Instrumental.
He
Literally, he
was
played a Jade instrument,
Jade
a
instrument.
musical
Yeah,
Jade
yeah,
instrument.
yeah. Okay, so I was just gonna say,
He Sarah Jaded us.
oh yes,
Yeah, we reached the top of that
yes.
mountain. There's the peak.
Well, thanks for joining us this week.
See you later. Buzz, 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 y'all.
um I'm not a musician, but I absolutely hate it when
Yeah.
TV and movies they love
Yes.
this like
They
ooh, what if
love
they're
it.
musical notes and
Yeah.
oh my
Okay.
I was
god,
so
I hate
upset
it.
about that
The,
because
Okay.
I'm like, Jade, why didn't you think of this before?
Fucking
It's
A.
one thing
Jade
if
should have
it's
thought of
one thing if
that.
it's one thing if he's a science engineer guy and
yeah,
is a computer tech guy, but they literally not only before but literally in
Yeah.
this episode painted him as an all-around savant.
Yeah.
yeah, we've seen him
Like
play
just
that violin.
say he sat there and sang the notes.
He's
I'm
a
like, you're just
musician.
gonna You're just gonna sing the notes?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. He
like
could
if you
sing
do that, yeah,
acapella, accurate pitches.
And I'll tell
accurate
you what,
He
pitches.
might even have perfect pitch.
He has
Like,
to.
yeah, he would have to do
I
that.
don't know why, but I feel suddenly sure that he's the one who put the slips of paper in the bottle trees.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I just speaking of Reddit, I just saw that somebody mentioned that on Reddit that a
It
previous
was
version of
me.
it.
No, it was not me.
Hey, that's what the
I.e.
name username
Christopher.
was.
Christopher. Yeah,
Christopher, or maybe even somebody before Christopher. I don't know,
yeah,
but
It
yeah.
could
you
be.
You
It
could
know,
could
go
be.
way
That's true.
back.
but
Um,
yeah, but they left that as a way to leave the music. But guess what? There's an easier way to leave musical notation. It's called musical notation.
yep,
And if you read music, it's really
yep,
easy to understand how to
yep.
play that music back.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so hopefully there's another reason why it had to be that way, or why the song needed to be secret or something. I don't know, but or maybe it's
Yes.
the kind of thing where somebody had memories of the music but didn't really know what it meant, and their brain translated it into
Yeah, so
numbers,
that
and then
would
that's just what they did, and they didn't really have a stronger, sense of what was going on besides a compulsion to make the bottles and the paper.
so the way the bottle tree, I feel like I've said this on previous podcasts, but they actually mentioned this in, or they somebody asked about this in the previous episode. How do bottle trees work? What are they supposed to do? And the
Hmm.
other person was like, I don't know. But there is a thing, like bottle trees, bottle gardens, they exist in the world that the viewer lives in.
Okay, yeah,
And they catch spirits to protect the area that the tree or the garden is in. And
gotcha.
so I, yeah, I'm just throwing that out as something potentially relevant. So if these bits
Hmm.
from these lullabies that they used to sing to the Ankui kids have ended up, maybe no one physically wrote them on slips of paper and put them in the bottle tree. Maybe they got kind of sucked in. Um, or the Ankui kids. The fact that some of the numbers are backwards kind of makes it seem like, oh well, maybe a kid. I don't know.
I think they're backwards. So, first of all, did you guys remember them saying there were only 12 numbers? Because if they had said that before, I figured we would have been thinking about a musical scale way before.
I think they
I feel
didn't
like I never
emphasize it because they didn't
did
want us
they.
to catch
Yeah, because
that.
I feel like I never heard them say that. I think there's 12 numbers because if you or two are backwards specifically is because if you wrote, 1 through 12, you might be waiting for 13 or 14 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
I feel like they were like trying to make it where you can sort of safely assume there's only 12 numbers in these
yeah,
permutations, but
yeah.
uh I don't know, lots to talk about. Yeah,
Yeah,
lots to
Justin,
dive into.
what are your initial impressions of it?
Well, I was gonna say a couple things about that topic before I say anything in general. So, like, Claude, I bet you know what that made me think of, and if you didn't, I'll remind you. And actually, both of you
Is
might
it
know.
all along the watchtower?
It's no, it's not. Although that's a valid comparison. What I was thinking of was the Looking Glass Station
Battlestar.
thing,
Oh, the
Oh,
Looking Glass Station. Yes.
where it's the Beach Boys song, "Good Vibrations," I guess.
Yes. And
That he has to like put in. That's the code,
I forgot about that. Wow.
to shut off the station, so it's like it's a
Mm-hmm.
similar idea of like notes turning into numbers, turning into, sort of like the reverse of
Mm-hmm.
that, I guess, like extracting the music instead of like taking the music and turning it into the numbers. But anyway, very
Yeah.
similar idea. Also very similarly frustrating to understand like what they're even thinking. Like
I
I'm not,
know.
I don't claim to be any great musician or anything, but I know basically how music works.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked
They
at
touch
those
the stuff.
numbers. I looked at
Yeah.
those numbers and I looked at and the notes he said, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like I could
I
not
don't get
figure
it.
out
I
what the
I knew
fuck
they
they
were
were
about to
talking
fudge it.
about.
I honestly knew they were about to fudge it when the first thing he said was, we need to figure out which numbers are, what did he say? Which numbers are which one were, I forgot what he said,
which are notes
notes
and
and
which are
which are chords.
chords.
I was like,
Yeah.
there's not gonna be chords. There's not gonna be a number that stands for a chord. I was like, are you saying the numbers are notes that build a chord. Then I was like, this is getting way too confusing. I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, that doesn't make any sense that some of these individual numbers would be chords and some of them would be notes, a single note. That didn't make any sense to me. And then when
Yeah.
you went to figure it out, they just completely skipped over what he was doing.
Yeah, it
And
was
he was
extremely convenient that the song
and
started to
since it's
come to
arbitrary
him.
too, it's arbitrary too. Like what key is this? What key do you start in? What is your root? I thought he was gonna say the first thing we have to do is figure out what our root note is. Then we can
Well,
like.
Oh
But I
no,
guess
it's
you
about
just
to
say the
become a
root is
music
one.
cast.
I'll defend them
So,
on that because, like, I think the key. So, like, what they said, and I'm gonna gripe about this later. No, I'm gonna gripe about it now, I guess. So, like, when Jim has his like gym site, he's like, "Oh man, aren't there 12 notes in a scale?" And
yeah, God, yeah.
I'm like, not exact. I mean, the chromatic
Yeah,
scale, like, that's not like a
depends on the
scale.
scale.
like
Yeah.
like most scales do not have 12 notes. Like, it's just, I feel like that's the
Correct.
wrong way to phrase that. Like, shouldn't it
Yes.
be like, aren't there 12 notes in like standard Western music? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
more of a
Like
Mixolydian gal
if you said
myself.
that, it'd be fine. But like, basically, like, if every single note chromatically is one of the numbers, it could be in any key, and the key is just determined by what the melody is. Like, I guess that's the way I would read it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to know what
Yeah,
key it is
yeah.
because every note has a specific number, and so like,
Well, but I guess I mean if you say a one is a G, you're gonna play. It's gonna sound different than if you say a one is an E.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
and so
I
I
mean,
was
it would
like, is
transpose
that gonna
the same,
matter?
but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. But I mean, it's gonna sort of sound differently,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
relative to something else. And so I'm like, does that matter that it's that does the
It
key
either
actually
matters or it
matter?
doesn't. I have no idea,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Anyway,
I
and
agree.
also for the violin, like it only plays, certain notes.
But I thought they
Um,
were assuming that like zero was A, uh, because they said like A through G with the sharps and flats. So
yeah. I think
I
you're right. I
thought
think
that's what
he
they,
did start instead of starting with a C. I don't know. It was just odd.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
And then
And classically, that was the way they started. It's more modern to have C be the basic one,
mm,
but like classically, it was
yeah.
like A. That's why it's A,
That's
the
what.
first
Well, then
one.
that's what that would have been great lines. Jim would have said, "Oh, C should be the root note," and then Jade could go, "Well, actually, classically,
yeah,
it should be
yeah.
A."
Mhm.
When I was at
That would fit their
Juilliard,
dynamics. Yep.
Yeah, but I couldn't make it work. Like, I tried different interpretations. Like, when he's showing the card and he's like, okay, this is a G and this is E, F sharp, whatever he says, D. I was
yeah.
looking at the numbers and I'm like, like, no matter where I counted from, it didn't make any sense. And the connection between the notes didn't make any sense. So I was just like, whatever. I guess they just bullshitted their way through
And
it.
I didn't understand how he knew what order to play the notes in, which sheets of paper go and what. Yeah, obviously it started to come to him, right? So that they skipped
That's part of
over
it.
that because
Yeah.
he just sort of
Intuition,
remembered the
memory
music.
thing.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's the
I thought it was
only
gonna be a
reason why that would work.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a thing where everybody had heard that song or had some connection to it, and I thought even Jim
Yeah.
would be like, "Oh, that's the song. That's my nursery mobile played that song, or something like on Lost or something where like everyone's had some contact with that song or something." But
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought Jim, in that scene when Jim is like, "What is that?" I thought he was gonna be
Mhm.
like, "No, I know that song." But then what he
Yeah,
did
yeah.
say was really valid. Like, "Oh, do you remember when there was a song before and it almost killed everybody?" Like,
I love that. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Especially because the other plot line was about, a similar uh recurrence, right? With Elgin hearing voices or being contacted and thinking he's doing something
Yeah.
right, and
yeah,
Sarah being like, "No, no, no, we've already been through this. The voices aren't here to help. Nothing's here to help us."
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I well, I'll say that when the scene comes. Justin, what did you think of the
I'll
episode?
tell you. I'll tell you a couple other comments that I just want to say because I'm worried I might forget by the time we get there. So like, because of Fatima's thing with like drinking blood,
Yeah.
I now believe there's a basis to believe that the monsters do actually like feed on people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's, I mean, they didn't
Even if
100%
that's
make
not
that
the
clear, but
main
I feel like that's
reason.
at least like more reasonable now
It's
than
like
it
they
was
don't
before.
necessarily need to. I don't know if they, I don't feel like if they need to though once they're fully grown. It seems like it's just a snack if they want to have a snack.
I feel
But
Yeah,
that,
like
something like that. I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
Because yeah, they're
yeah.
supposed to live forever, but like maybe I don't know. Anyway, I just feel like there's more grounds for them believing that now than there was before since they made that connection. Another thing I
Mm-hmm.
was gonna say is that I also feel like with this revelation that there was this big sacrifice of children that happened in Christopher and Miranda's time. I think that's what they're saying, and that's when the monsters either were created, through this sacrifice, right? So, and it seems to me that what they're saying is that that it happened that night, you know.
So,
that
I
happened
like
what night? What are you talking about?
So like the night that
Tabitha.
Miranda put Victor and Eloise in the root cellar and
Uh huh.
ran out.
That's the night that everyone in town died.
So what I'm trying to say is that like the more I think about it, the more it doesn't make sense. But like I feel like it has to. I mean, I guess what is maybe true is that a more ancient ancestor of Tabitha and
Yeah,
Jade
I think what
had this kid,
yeah.
like it was before
Yes.
Christopher, like because I thought
Before
Christopher
Christopher.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Miranda
yeah,
had a
yeah.
Yeah,
kid.
yeah, way back. Yeah. But I think the question that what you're getting at invites me to wonder is like how ancient, because the monsters all look like they're dressed from like the 50s. But then we've got these like
That's what I
Civil
was trying to make it
War.
work,
Yeah.
you know, because Victor's so old. I
Yeah, no,
mean,
that Victor thing, that was like the 80s?
yeah, no, I know you're right. That's not old enough. That's not old enough. It should have
Mm-hmm.
been at least one earlier generation where that should have happened.
They never went back to that. Like, why is there a sign and a swimming pool for a motel but no motel?
Nah, I think that was just an idle comment because they knew people noticed. But we'll see. I mean, they could do
All
something
right.
with it.
So
But
go ahead.
the point I was trying to make, that like the more I talk about it, the more I'm not convinced, is I was hoping to derive like an interpretation of the massacre.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think that this gave us that.
I don't either, but initially
Well,
I
what do you
thought it
mean?
might. Initially I thought so if the kid was actually Miranda and Christopher, which is what I was thinking,
Which
then
kid?
The boy,
this kid
the Ankhui kid?
who was sacrificed, um uh that they talk about at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, that at the end
I
they're
thought,
saying
I
that one of the
thought,
kids.
yeah, I thought there's a group of kids, and one
Hmm.
of the kids was their kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
That's what I'm talking
okay,
about.
gotcha.
What I was trying to what I the conclusion I was trying to draw from that is that if that night was the night it happened, which, like I said, the more I think about it, the more it doesn't make any sense. But if it were true, then I guess my interpretation would be that some of the parents who sacrificed their kids, like those are the ones who became the monsters that
Hmm.
night, and then they slaughtered the rest of them. You know, like
Oh, you're
that.
trying to make those two events happen at the same time. I
That
see
is
what you're
what
trying to
that
do.
is what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I don't think that's
I
correct.
think, yeah, I assumed that it was something with Miranda almost escaping that prompted the monsters to attack everybody. Something that's what I'm assuming at this point.
There
She
was
got.
just
That's an interesting thought.
there was just something weird. I mean, I've always found it weird, the massacre. It's like, why are they all out in the street? Like, why weren't they hiding?
Yeah.
And I thought it could have made sense if they knew there was a mass child sacrifice, and
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and then like the parents who betrayed them by sacrificing their kids and becoming the monsters knew, where they were, and so they were just like running out in the streets in a panic, like it all seemed to fit
Yeah,
in my
no,
head.
the massacre should have happened, the purge, if you will,
The
should
purge,
have
definitely.
happened a long time ago. Yeah.
well, one thought I
Well,
like
not the purge. I mean, the purge happened in Victor's time for sure. Or oh, I'm sorry, you mean the kids.
the kids
The
being
kids. Yeah,
trapped.
yeah, yeah.
No, because I'm thinking of the
So
massacre is the purge, but the kids is the purge. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So I
you're right.
agree.
The massacre should be the purge. That's what I
Because they
meant.
were already
But
talking about Ankui kids and rescuing them from the tower, and it doesn't make sense to talk about that if that
yeah,
sacrifice
no,
hasn't
no, no, no,
happened
no.
yet.
I think there's been several generations of the couple reincarnating. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they just didn't. I don't know. The way they phrased it made me think it was supposed to be Miranda and Christopher specifically, and I was gonna be like scandal,
no, it's
but
just that
apparently not.
we don't have
No, none of them. Yeah,
names for
they're
any of those
coming
other
back.
characters.
They're not coming back to save their biological kids that they had in the real world. They're coming back to save their ghost children. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not. Yeah. When they said me and Jade or Jade and Miranda, or I forgot which couple they
Christopher.
mentioned, but Christopher and Miranda, yeah,
Yeah.
that it wasn't. Yeah, they didn't have a secret baby. You know,
I really
in
thought
the
that's what
film
happened. They had
world,
a baby while they were
and
there. I thought that's what they were telling us.
and then Victor's gonna be like, "Oh, I forgot, I had another
Yeah,
sibling."
I know. Hey, it's not unprecedented.
Actually, that's another prediction that I
Victor
made,
forgets things all the time.
and I'm just gonna say it's got to be correct. Is that the sister is still alive?
I think that is.
And I
Yeah,
think that this episode, going to the grave, his response, like, yeah, she's 100% alive.
I think that's why they waited so long to talk about it,
Hmm.
because they wanted to leave it open ended, and I think they knew they were going to get there, and I think they wanted to save that
Yeah.
yeah.
for later, and so they just kind of like artificially put it off. The whole time I was like, if they go to Miranda's grave and they don't even mention Eloise, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, I was glad. I did also make some predictions if you want to go on my list real quick.
Oh, you got a
I did
list.
I did
You
for
came
Jade.
prepared.
For Jade, I said he was going to discover the meaning of the bottle tree. So that was correct.
Ah,
I went a
yes.
step further and tried to guess the answer, and I said the dates are birthdays of people who can safely travel to the tree. So I was wrong on
Ah, okay.
that.
I like that.
The ghost kids, I said we will discover what Ankui means. So we
We
got
did.
that.
We did.
I said Julie will travel back in time to the sacrifice.
Well, she traveled
And
back
we
in
will.
time, or
She
she
did
traveled
travel
in
back.
time.
I thought she was gonna travel back in time and see like to the actual first sacrifice of those kids on the altar, and then we would see who killed them. I thought we'd see,
Yeah.
the man in black or the whatever the parents who killed them or whatever, see
Yeah.
the. But I think that'll come. That'll come next season. Uh,
What did Julie
I
do?
said,
I feel like that's an open question. Because she just
yeah.
runs out, like, and it's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what did you do? I still have no idea.
I
She goes.
said
She goes
that.
to the ruin to travel through time.
Yeah,
I
I think that's what it
guess,
is.
but there's no
Yeah,
specific
they
information
cut it
given.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they're doing the maximum dramatic effect.
So a couple more things. I said the kids are the spirits of the monsters.
Ah, close.
Uh, yeah, close, close, close.
I
I
think the kid
said,
in the cage down in the tunnels is like sort of explained by this answer as well.
I think so. Yeah.
There
I
is a
said
connection with the
Randall.
monsters. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I said Randall gets killed, saving
Oh,
Julie. That didn't
not
happen.
quite. Not quite.
Uh,
Should have said Jim.
it was more Jim getting killed than Julie. I said Julie discovers why they are still having the effects of the cicadas.
Mm,
So
not
not really
really.
discovered why, but she got another the next chapter in her story there.
Yeah.
I said Victor discovers why things are changing and how it relates to the night his mom died.
You
Mm-hmm.
made a lot of
So
predictions.
I did. I tried
Bold
to go through every
ones.
character. I said Tabitha finds info on Victor's sister. I still believe she's gonna have a vision about Victor's sister escaping that night, but
I agree. I think that's to come. But
I
yeah,
said kimono woman wants to take the baby to the altar and sacrifice it so they can escape. So
close,
half
close.
half right.
Yep.
I said so. I was really wrong about this. I said Fatima gives birth. There's no physical baby, but
Hmm.
something major about the town changes.
Ah, okay.
So not quite. So anyway,
No,
those are my predictions.
not
I didn't
bad.
have anything for a lot of the other characters, but
Yeah,
tried to get the big stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, no, that's a good batting average for sure. Some of that stuff I expected, but yeah, not I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely I mean, that's what I will say about it, even though it didn't feel like enough,
Yes.
and
No.
I do feel like they burned some time this season. It
Mm-hmm.
definitely felt more substantial than the previous episode that I found very frustrating. So it's like, even if I'm not 100% convinced by the story they're telling, I'm like, at least they're telling us something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, instead of just being like, something happened, I don't know, I was scared. It's just like, okay, like, can we please, like, say something specific for once? And they did. So anyway, I do appreciate that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a season finale, so and that last scene is like weirdly tantalizing because I feel like it raises like so many questions. I
Yeah.
have I will go on and on about like what the fuck is going on at this scene at the end because I am like infinitely confused, which I think is part of the point. But
Yeah, that scene reminded me of Dark.
Yes.
oh
There's
yeah,
there's a
yeah,
couple reasons why I want to bring up one when we get
I could
there.
totally see that.
Is one of them the wig?
One is the wig.
Got to be that wig.
Yeah, on Reddit somebody said the title was Julie in the finale, and it was a picture of oh god, I don't know her name from Dark. The
Mm-hmm.
dude's
Marta.
girlfriend,
Marta.
Marta.
Yeah.
The Marta with the wig, from
Yeah.
the
Thanks,
other time.
Marta.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Exactly.
exactly who Julie showed up as.
Yep.
Don't
Wait,
mind
was
me,
she
Dad.
supposed to
Just
be
time
different?
traveling. Yeah,
With
she had different
She's
hair.
her yeah, she had a
That
wig
was the whole
on
point. The
and she
point
was
was
wearing a totally
yeah,
different outfit.
she's story
She goes
walking.
she's
Yeah,
story
she was story
walking.
walking, trying to change things.
but that's not what I thought story walking was.
Story walking is time traveling, Ethan. It's called time traveling. There's already a word for it. I was so upset when he just made up a
No, but
word.
that's not even what I thought.
I don't know what to tell you. Claude and I are obviously right.
No, I did think she looked different, but I thought it was just something weird about like the
Really, you didn't
costume.
understand that she has completely different hair and outfit, and after that whole
And she
conversation
was telling her dad,
about
"This is when it
how
happens. Yeah, you got to go
yeah,
to the town. Like
you
something's
have
happening
to
right now."
run. I think this is when it happens. Like, what did you think that
But
meant?
that I don't get it. I don't get it. That was one of my questions. I don't.
Well,
What
because
do you
Yeah,
What do you think it means? Tell me if y'all know. Go ahead.
what I think
it
it
means he went
means
back
is
to
that
England.
she did the thing that earlier in the episode she said she was going to try to do,
Yeah,
which was to try to intervene. Now that she knows that if she goes to this
yeah.
place, she can find herself in different stories that have already happened. Can she intervene in them and change the course of events?
I
So,
think something happens in
sometime in the
town. Yeah,
future,
another massacre or something happens in town, and then she goes, "Oh, I'm gonna story walk and change it." She goes and goes back in time, and she shows up to where Jim is, and
I,
I think she basically finds out, oh shit, like if I do this, then my dad dies, versus
I mean, I
whatever
just
she's trying to stop in
assumed
town.
that that's a sort of a more complicated version of what I thought, which was I just thought that once her dad dies, she commits herself to continuing to go in there until she can find a way to save
Hmm.
her dad.
I
Okay.
And
thought that
the
the dad only died because the man in yellow was coming after her and Jim got in the way. That's how I took it.
oh, I thought that the man in yellow was going after Jim
Jim, and she was trying to save Jim.
and she was
It's
just
weird
saving him.
because the thing is, she didn't say, "Hey, Dad, you need to leave because he's going to kill you." She said, "There's something in town happening." But the dialogue's amorphous enough. It could go either way, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. let me make sure I understand now, because like this never occurred to me. What you're saying is that this is a future Julie.
Yeah, it's future Julie. She's got a wig.
It's
Okay.
really, that's
Well,
why she looks
past
different.
What
Julie
did
could
you
have a
think?
wig too, but
Why
okay.
did you think that she had a wig if not that she was coming from the
I
There's no
didn't.
past Julie with the wig because we've seen Julie in all of the past, and she's
Well,
got her
that's
nice
why I
long
was
hair.
confused. But okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, all
yeah.
right. Hold on, y'all. So I just want to make sure I got this straight. So what you're saying is that's future Julie, which means, let me just get this right. There's
Yeah,
two
get it right.
Julies there right now.
Yeah, future
Yes,
Julie and present
I
Julie.
just want to make sure we're
Are you just asking us about how time travel works in TV?
that's
so
what he's
no, no, no,
doing.
no, 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 no. That's not what I'm asking. Like, no, no, no. That's not my point. My point
Okay.
is, what is? Are you actually saying that, like, because there's multiple ways this could occur. So so
Okay, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I just want to make sure what you're saying is that there's a separate Julie somewhere else who did not witness her father's death, right? That's what you're saying.
Right, wigless
Yeah.
Julie, who's like at the restaurant
Okay.
with her brother or whatever she's doing right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she didn't actually get to see that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to
Oh,
make
but no, no,
sure.
no. Well, let me just drill down where to George Justin's drilling down is it could be a situation where whenever she is story walking, that she's unconscious wherever she is in the real world, like we saw the first time, right? So it could be that she's not talking somewhere with Ethan in the diner, but she's in the ruins unconscious while
No,
her
future
consciousness is
Julie.
story walking.
Future Julie
But
in the
she's
wig.
right
No, no, no,
there.
no.
I don't
Future stop.
understand.
Future Julie in a wig
That's my
is
Yes,
problem.
laying in the ruins
That is
unconscious,
my
yes,
but
problem.
she
exactly.
is
Yeah, yeah,
story
yeah, yeah, yeah.
walking and intervening. I don't
Yes.
understand what's hard to understand. Look, I'm not saying we should pick this apart because time travel stories, they always fall apart when you try to
Yeah.
like make them work like this. But I'm just
The
saying,
only
like,
difference, really, the way they're depicting this, and I think this is why they're calling it story walking, is because it's like Lost, where the time travel is your consciousness traveling, and I think her consciousness is made manifest when she story walks. So she has physical form. Jim touched her, but you know what I mean. So all intents and purposes, there's another Julie there, but it's not her body leaving one time period and going into another time period. I don't think it's like that, where
But
there's
she
like
looked
a
different,
machine.
so it should be her body,
But
right?
but
it's the
it's her in the
projection of her
future.
current form. Yeah, it's a project in the future. So let's say a week from now she cuts her hair, and then she story walks. Then that's what will
Yeah.
explain why she looks different when she
In a
story walks.
week, heartbroken over the death of her father, she cuts her hair and
Yeah,
goes into the ruin and just stays
and
there
yeah,
for as long as it takes for her to see the event where her dad is
mm-hmm,
about to get killed, and then she intervenes and says, you got to run because this dude's about to kill you.
mm-hmm,
But it doesn't work. He still gets killed.
yeah.
This is my interpretation.
Yeah, no, you're right. She says, "Dad, you have to run. You need to get to town right now." And I thought
Yeah.
that meant something in town is happening that you need to stop, but it could just be that that's the safe place to go because this guy is about to come kill you right here.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it could go either way. But it's just, it's just confusing because you have this is why it never even occurred to me. I thought it was just some weird costume glitch. Like you have Julie in the diner talking to Ethan about like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I went to this place and he said he has his lines about story walking and you can't change the story once it's been told and blah 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 blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah.
And she
Right?
failed. She failed to stop it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sure, sure. But we have, but then so what does Julie do after that? Like unclear, first of all. But then we have a future Julie who
Tries
shows
again.
up. So
I
like
think she'll try again in another way. She'll either try to go further back in time or find Jim somewhere else. Or yeah, she'll. I bet next season is her learning how to do this.
Yes, I agree.
And how to control it, how to control when and where she goes.
Yes. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I guess it's like maybe Randall and Marielle can do this too.
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I didn't think about if they have that ability. I'm gonna say no, but that's my hunch. But that's a distinct possibility.
I mean, I just I wonder what impacts whether somebody, if they walk into that space, will be transported.
Hmm.
Um, anyhow,
They're just so good about people having their own unique experiences on this show
yeah,
that I think they wouldn't double team, but
yeah.
Okay,
it's
It
very
okay.
likely because they went through the same
prevents them from
ordeal.
having to like come up with consistent explanations if it's just different for that
Hmm.
person.
I,
Yep.
I just want to make sure I have this straight.
Oh my!
Yeah.
So just walk with me here.
Time is a flat circle.
So future Julie, like, and by future I mean like next season or whatever,
Yeah.
learns that Jim was killed,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
But she doesn't know already, right? She shouldn't know because there's no one else there, unless the man in
She
the
doesn't know
yellow.
yet. No, only future her knows.
Well, so okay, so unless the man in the yellow coat tells someone, there's no way she's gonna know that she was there, right? Like
No, no,
how?
no. She doesn't. You're right. She
She
doesn't. Because I don't think she was there.
she
This
wasn't
is one of those
there. It's
time
time
travel
travel.
paradoxes
Well, I mean
where
the future her. She doesn't know that the future her was. She doesn't know that she's already like predestined to time travel to
to
that
if
moment. That's what
if
I'm trying to
that's the
say.
way if that's the way time travel works on the show, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You know,
Okay.
if
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
not creating new
Given that.
timelines and they're not whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, if it's a whatever happened, then that means if you think you want to go back in time to change something, you already did and it didn't work.
Right. 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 Exactly. 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 So it's basically like
And it could just be a thing where she just decided she had to try, even if she was convinced it wouldn't work, she just had to try it.
right. 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 Yeah, so like Locke, at a certain point travels to the future, has that encounter with Richard, blah blah blah, right? But he didn't
Mm-hmm.
he didn't know that he was gonna do that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is like it's not obvious. Like Julie might learn that Jim was killed there, and I guess
Yeah.
she'll roughly know when it happened. And so maybe she'll use the
exactly.
method to try to go there and stop it. I
Exactly.
guess.
That's exactly what I'm
Yeah,
Okay.
they
claiming.
find his
Yes.
body somewhere. They go, "Wow, where's Jim? Oh, search party. Oh no, he's been killed out here
Yeah.
at this place." And she goes, "Okay, damn." She grieves a bit or something, and
Yeah.
Ethan says like, "Oh, I wish we could change it. Wish we could story walk. Too bad it can't
Right.
change the past." She goes, "I'll see about that." And then
Yeah.
she
Yeah,
goes and
she may
tries to
as
do it.
well commit herself to trying to do that
Okay.
because what else is she doing all
But
the time?
potentially, if this is the
Yeah.
way they're doing
And
it, she won't realize that she's doomed to fail.
correct. Well, until one or two times she fails, I think it's usually how long it'll take her to figure that out. But honestly, the way
Okay.
it played out to me the first time I saw it, I kind of thought the man in yellow showed up because she story walked. I almost felt like it was like, oh, you're breaking the rules. You know, you're the rats are about to escape the maze. Let me come in here and stop. That's how it came off to me. Like a bigger bad was coming in because she was using the next level tools or whatever of this place. And so he wanted to
If
come in and like stop her from, using this technique to get out of the
but
trap
if
or whatever.
that's true, then why did she show up?
Yeah, I thought it was a thing where he died some. Well, because originally I thought it was something in town she was trying to get him to go to. So that's how it came off to me. Like, oh,
Right.
she's trying to change the past to get Jim to come to town, and now the man in yellow is going to show up to stop her from changing the past.
Yeah,
He's like
so
a time lord or something.
Warden.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that had
Time
not
warden,
occurred
there
to
you go.
me. But
I don't think that's right, but that was my instinct at the time.
one thing that I wish I could know was whether there's actually any significance to the fact that the man in yellow
Mm-hmm.
says, you shouldn't have let your wife dig that hole, or if that was just
Mm-hmm.
to make it crystal clear to the viewer that this is the person who said that. Because I could see it going either way.
Oh,
Um,
mm-mm-mm. I thought this was a hole she's gonna dig later. I didn't think you're suggesting he means when she
I
was digging
think
under the
He was the
house.
yeah,
voice on the
I
radio.
think the significance
That's
of
the
that line was
reveal.
that he was the voice on the
Yeah.
radio,
Yeah,
but
He
yeah,
said,
yeah,
"I
yeah,
tried
wanna
to
yeah,
warn
yeah, I
you."
tried to warn you, you shouldn't let
yeah.
your but
Yeah.
I just wanna know if that is really just trying to make sure that the viewer gets the point, or if there is actually some connection to what we're seeing here, what's unfolding, and the digging. Because it is true that the digging set into motion these other events, but
It's
yeah.
just a weird thing to say, right? Like, why does he care? What? Oh, Jim,
Right.
now I have to kill you because your wife was nosy. Like,
Right,
I guess
which
she
does
shouldn't have been
support
trying to figure that.
the
It's just a strange kind of thing. I thought this was a thing about next season, and I thought my immediate thought was like somehow she was digging and they found a coffin and he came out of it or something.
oh
It's
my
like you
god,
shouldn't have dug that hole.
that would
Like
be
she
crazy.
unearthed him or something, you know.
It's
But
just
no,
this
I think that makes more
recurring
sense
theme of
that yeah, this
Tabitha
is the
digging
voice.
holes.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
I
do you think he's also the guy who was on the radio,
Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
100% he was the guy on the
like
radio.
during the storm?
Yeah.
yes. So
Yeah.
the guy on the
Okay,
radio in the storm says, "Your wife shouldn't be digging that
Yeah,
hole."
yeah, yeah. Okay, so
oh, he said that during the storm. Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
yep.
okay, okay.
I have a specific interpretation that I thought about what he why he came, which is I thought because of the lines, and of course it's it's up for debate, but I thought because of the lines that it was because of some combination of figuring out what the code meant
Yes,
and
yes,
playing
yes,
the song. He specifically
yes.
references it, and and
Yep.
and also like learning this deeper truth about the place, because he
Yeah,
says
yeah, yeah.
knowledge has consequences.
That
Right.
exactly. That's all. You're right. Thanks for unpacking that because those were all what went into my head about this guy showing up because of what they're doing right now. He
Yeah,
Right.
wasn't just gonna normally show up.
I think that is true. I think that is true, but I didn't think that it was because of. Wait, I forgot what you said. It was because of. Oh, I didn't think it was because of Julie. I thought it was because
Mhm.
of the that other stuff. Because that's
Gotcha.
what he talks about. He doesn't seem to. He just brushes Julie off. Like it didn't seem to me like he really cared about Julie.
I don't even know if he knows she's story walking, right? So
Yeah, he might not even know that, which would definitely mean it's not because of
yeah,
that. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I
But
don't
it's
know that
also
for
like,
sure, but
why come out to kill Jim here?
I
That's
well,
why again I thought it had something to do with Julie because it's like why come out to kill Jim when everything that the guy said that he's upset about has already happened. He didn't stop Jade from playing the music. He didn't stop her from digging the hole. I mean, they collapsed the house, but
yeah.
um, so I don't. It's almost like are they just there to stop the people from remembering, or I should say, uncooeying?
You
Like what's
should.
the like? Is that all this is about? Like, okay, we don't want you to remember that the children need to be saved. Otherwise, you might save them, and then what? We won't have immortality anymore. Like, I still don't know what even though we got details about the big picture, I'm not
Okay.
clear on what's really happening.
I have to ask another question since we're on this. This is like the last scene. It's weird to start with this, but it's also not weird because it's the season finale, so it's a big scene. Okay, sorry. Simple question, y'all. Was he a monster?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. I was just thinking that he slashes throats like a
He
monster.
sure did.
Um,
He sure did, but he didn't show the
yeah,
face. And was it daytime? Like, I was
it was
unclear.
daytime.
This is
It was
It
definitely
time.
looked like it
daytime.
was daytime to me. I mean, it looked like it might have been close to
Yeah,
getting dark,
it
but
was it was dusky. But no,
yeah.
I think he's the next level up, which he doesn't have the limitations of as the monsters.
Okay.
It's strange that he's in a dirty yellow suit. I will go ahead and throw it out there. Reddit has confirmed that a man fitting his description is in Miranda's painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I found that.
We
Yeah. I
Uh,
remember there was
we
that they showed
remembered
it, they
it.
focused on
Yeah.
it, and we talked
yeah,
about it when we did the podcast for that episode. Actually, you were on that one.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
We're like, who's this guy? And
That
he
was
keeps
episode
saying,
2. Yeah, it was like, what the fuck is this about? We haven't seen anything because we recognize most of the things in the paintings because it was stuff we're
Yeah.
familiar with from a show. But yeah, that was definitely something they laid in that they knew they were gonna go back to later. So Miranda saw that. I have to complain about Miranda's paintings later. I won't do it now. But yeah, yeah, that's true.
He reminded me of a David Lynch character.
Me too. Yeah, I
He
totally
looked
see
very
it.
much like a Lynchian
It's
character.
it's
But
such a weird, yeah, it's like this cowboy mystery, like what are
yeah,
you meddling around with? You need to like stay in line and follow the
yeah.
rules and I'll be watching and yeah, there's definitely that weirdness. And no one's ever really behaved like that before exactly. I mean, the closest
Mm-hmm.
thing is the thing with Boyd, all those weird moments like you said we couldn't break you and but I feel like that's like much more small scale and personal
I
than
am
like
upset about that, by the way. I'm upset that that was a whole thing they underscored, and the season did not. Was it? It
about
didn't play
that.
out the way I thought. Yeah, it didn't. They
Yeah.
didn't drive that home, and
No.
I feel like at the very end they decided to try to get back to that idea
They
with what
did.
Sarah was
They
trying to
tried.
do. But okay, we'll talk about it. I know we've had a long preamble here, so we can get to the scene.
You ready to talk about the scenes? We
Let's
could
do
do it.
it.
We could do it. We
You
got a
gotta
few
you gotta
scenes to
do your
roll through. Any
checklist.
topic is valid at any time, but the scenes provide a structure that we
Any
might
topic.
any topic. What do you want to talk about?
Okay.
Deforestation?
Let's
What do
talk
you got?
about I like stuff by reforestation.
Oh, hey, no
There we
one ever
go.
talks about
Talk about the
reforestation.
Yeah, Big Tree won't let us talk about it.
Of course they won't.
All
That's your
right.
big tree. All right. So you ready?
Checklist.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
fire in here.
yeah, do
All
it.
right. So weekly check-in. I took off some stuff that obviously doesn't matter. But Boy in White and not really. Boy in White is like a fucking awful waste of time this season. I hate Boy in White, and I'm just gonna say it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Second thing is bracelet. They did talk about the bracelet.
They
They
sure
did
did.
explain the
Yeah.
bracelet. I was
Wow.
like, damn it, I'm
They sure did.
finally. That was bothering me
Mm-hmm.
this whole time. Like,
That
There is
should have been, if I would have bet anything that was on your list that they would drop, I would have bet bracelet.
I do have to say there was a choice line about the boy in white
yeah,
this
there
episode.
was. Yeah, Victor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Victor's like, yeah,
Yeah.
he was not
He
helpful
wasn't helpful. No shit.
to say the
No
least.
shit.
Yeah, I my annoyance, it's like, give me Yellow Coat Man. At least he's like talking about shit.
Yeah.
Like and his cards are on the table. Boy in White is just such a flippity floppy like salmon flopping around for no reason.
Salmon.
Anyway, I don't know why it's
Salmon and
salmon.
white.
He's fishy. All right. Anyway,
He's
There you
fishy.
the last thing that I have on my list is the bottle tree, which like they
go.
did
Mm-hmm.
talk about, but not in the way that I wanted. The
Mm-hmm.
the point that I wanted them to clarify was
Mm-hmm.
whether the bottle tree came in a vision and that's why Miranda made it, or
Uh-huh.
whether Miranda had the
Yeah.
vision, made it, and then recreated it in the thing. I think if those numbers are the reincarnation like evidence and the song connects to the kid sacrifice, then I think that means the bottle tree was there before Miranda, which makes me think that she saw it in the vision and that's why she made the thing. I think that's true. But anyway, they still didn't really address the point I
What
wanted.
was it, a vision of the future or the vision of the past?
Oh,
Did she see a vision of herself making it?
leave me alone, Giant. I don't want to answer your questions.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Maybe both, maybe neither. I have more bottle tree complaints, but anyway, they technically
I
talked
have
about
bottle
the
tree
bottle
complaints,
tree,
but yeah.
so I'm gonna say like yes, bottle tree, but anyway, that's my check-ins for this week. And for a long time from now,
Yeah.
I will come back to those later, I guess, when the show comes back, whenever that is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Scene
So
one.
shall we dive into scene one?
Yes.
All right. Very
Yeah.
uneventful opening here. We have Boyd showing a map to Kenny for the Fatima search, which is an utterly useless thing that I wish I didn't even have to mention. And then Ellis enters and says he thinks Elgin knows where Fatima is. So
Boom.
so apparently his suspicion that he was playing was like not light, but actually like full on. Like he's like,
Yeah, he
yeah,
was convinced.
you know where Fatima is, and you're like dancing around it in a weird way, which was true, of course. And then we also have Fatima sitting by the hatch in the root cellar. She opens her dress at the belly, and we see something squirming in there. And then we go to credits.
Yeah.
Good
Yep.
times. That's Smiley the monster
Well,
squirming around in there.
spoiler alert.
Yeah, I thought it was okay to spoil. No, okay. So, Ellis, after the credits, Ellis explains why he thinks Elgin knows something based on what he said, obviously. Boyd tells him to go with Kenny to Colony House and make sure Elgin doesn't leave. Uh, all right, you ready to? I feel like we
Yeah.
can roll
Mhm.
because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're gonna
Roll.
like get to
Roll.
a point with that story. Ethan asks Jim if they found Fatima. He said, "I sure hope so." Thanks, Jim. What a waste. Anyway, as they arrive at the house, Victor comes out and says Tabitha quote fell down. Jim, like we didn't even see that, so I'm like, "What are you
I
talking about?
know. I was like,
Do
what?
you know what fell down means?" They never showed that. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. He said it. Jim goes inside. Julie's in there as well. Jim asks what happened. Outside, Victor tells Ethan that he saw the boy in white, but he wasn't helpful. That's what we were just talking about. Julie comes out and gets Ethan to go to the diner so that Jim and Tabitha can talk. And inside, Tabitha explains the encounter at the root cellar, saying that she could, quote, feel Miranda there. And she took her to the night of the tree, blah, blah, blah. And also that Miranda was trying to tell her something. That was what she claimed. So anyway,
Mhm.
this scene did clarify for me what the fuck the point of that thing was at the end of the last episode because I did not get it. I was just like, this seems useless. I already assumed that something like this happened. Why are we seeing this?
Mhm.
And your theory, I mean, what was like that it was like how Miranda had seen the ones before her, and I feel like that's basically true, but it's sort of deeper than that. It's like they are reincarnations of each other,
Yeah.
you
They're
know?
seeing, yeah, and being chosen really means being
Yeah,
reincarnated. And
exactly.
I thought people had disproven that Tabitha could be
Yeah.
Miranda
Well, she literally
because of how the
isn't
dates.
Right.
Well, but I mean,
But
that Tabitha was
before
born
Miranda died.
after Miranda died.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 or whichever way. But like, I thought it was confirmed that she was born before Miranda died. Therefore, she couldn't be Miranda
I think that's
directly. Like,
true, but I guess that means your reincarnation can be born while you're still alive.
yeah. Well, it just calls into question
we're
what does that
like,
really mean? Now, I think
yeah.
I did the math with Christopher, and I think he dies before Jade is born.
Okay.
So I think that works. But I think with Miranda, I'm not sure if that really works. But because that's what I want to know. Are they saying
Are
that
you
like
saying Jade
the
is younger than Tabitha? Is that
Jade's
your
supposed to
point?
be like 40, and
Isn't she supposed to be like 40?
I guess the point is that yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean he's like 40. I don't know how old she's
Oh,
supposed to be
okay. Okay,
exactly.
okay.
But yeah, I mean they should be around the same age.
Oh, because it was his birthday.
And I guess if the mom, I guess if they all died. Yeah, I guess they all should have died in '78, right, or whenever, because I think Victor got there in '78. So
The,
then they died shortly
the night
after.
the
So I guess they
massacre
all should have died.
happened, they died.
Yeah, I mean they might be the
Yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
age.
Okay. But yeah, I'm like, were they trying to say that the spirits of Miranda and Christopher that have been reincarnated can just inhabit a person that's already going to be coming to the from place? Or was Tabitha born with the reincarnated spirit of Miranda, and she didn't just get attached to a Miranda spirit didn't attach itself to her when
Right.
she was like 5 or 6 or
When
something
she
later.
started having the dream, for example.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think they can tell us whichever they want with that because
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
There's still a lot of whys. I don't know when we get to the whys of it
It's
all, but why do they
yeah.
still need to try to find the children? Is that going to stop this cycle? Does it stop the monsters from living forever if they rescue the children?
it seems like
And by the
maybe.
way, the children showed up from the song and didn't tell them anything, didn't say
Nope.
what to do next.
Excuse me, they said on Cooey.
Well, they said remember, and great. Well, remember now what? What's the next word in this weird
Remember,
language?
gotta go.
Also,
Yeah.
why isn't this? What language is this?
I know when they're like, "It means remember." I'm like, "Really? In what?"
Yeah, shouldn't it be a
There have
known
been
language?
zero non-Americans that have I mean, obviously a lot of the actors are Canadian, but and I heard Jade's accent in this one, or Jim's, I think. Anyway, but like from the map, they're all supposed to be Americans. So
Yeah.
like it would be weird if it took like people from other places before, but now it only takes American. Like that doesn't add up for
Mhm.
me. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just that it's almost like yeah, I feel like it's just a contrivance so that they could like make it a mystery like what it means. I'm not convinced it's really there's really a language
If
there.
Julie is no, I know. There's no but there's no explanation as to why they all of a sudden know what it means. Anyway, if
They
Julie can
remembered.
oh, they remembered that this word that
Means
doesn't
remember.
exist.
I think
Yeah,
that's
they
what they
remember that the
remembered.
word, but the word doesn't exist. It's not a word,
I
and there's no
understand.
explanation.
I understand. I'm just saying that's what it looked like. I agree. It
I'm
doesn't
sa-
really make sense.
I if Julie figures out how to story walk and intervene in these ways, she could maybe undo everything. Just story walk for as long as it
Yeah,
takes to
that
get
was on
back to
Lost. That
that
didn't work out
inflection
for
point.
them. I feel like
Indeed.
yeah, I think whenever you're changing the past and stuff, I think that's tricky. I don't know if they'll go that way, but I think she could learn valuable information by story walking that could help you in the future, whether or not you can
Yeah.
change the past. You
Yeah.
know.
I much like on Lost, I hope they don't go down the road of like let's just go to the past and erase the show.
Hmm.
That's never my preferred outcome.
I also don't know why there's any story mechanics at all involved here. Why is it working that you can look at this from a storytelling perspective and it seems to have these analogs that work? That's an unanswered question of because it's different than saying, because he set up specific rules about what you can do when you story walk, right? He didn't say
yeah,
like, oh, you can go to any point in the book you want. You can skip to the end if you want. No, 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 no. You can only go to the parts that have already been told,
earlier
or
chapters. Yeah.
earlier chapters, right? So it's
Yeah.
very specific, and it's like, does the world have those limitations, or does it only have those limitations because you think it has those limitations?
Right, right, right. Which might come to the same thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the place does seem like it manifests stuff from their minds, so
They did talk
you
about
know.
that a bit. Jade brought that up, which is a huge deal, talking about thoughts and energy and
Yep,
spirits possibly lingering here. So
yep,
that was a big reveal.
definitely, definitely. All right, are you ready to continue with this? Okay. So, as a result of the conversation, Jim barges into the bar where Jade is. Jim apologizes and wants Jade's help. All right, we'll come back to that. Boyd barges into, there's a lot of barging. Boyd barges into the church where Sarah is and asks her to come help. No, asks her to come to Colony House. Along the way, he explains the situation with Elgin. He wants Sarah to talk to Elgin and convince him not to trust promises from the voices there or the things there. Donna charges outside and that's what's going on. Boyd asks her to clear the house. All right. We'll come back to that as well.
Hmm.
Tabitha talks about what happened at the tree with Miranda. Jim asks Jade about his visions. Jade explains the difference between his visions and what Tabitha was seeing, um, and wonders what Miranda was trying to tell her. Then he goes into a first law of thermodynamics crackpot theory about energy of people lingering there.
Yeah.
Um, and he asks about the Ankui kid and where she was. And it turns out she was out by Victor's truck. So we end on that note. Whether that matters or not, I don't know. But we will come back to that.
Yeah,
So that was the
yeah.
thing you were referencing, the
Yeah.
thermodynamics, the
Mm-hmm.
energy can't be destroyed, so it stays there, something, something, blah, blah, blah. Definitely a Faraday-ish moments.
Yeah. I still don't know what Miranda was trying to tell her.
I assume the thing
It,
about the
The
kids,
baby that
yeah,
your baby was one of
yeah, they had a baby and yeah, they were reincarnated and it was based on this sacrifice, and I assume that's the thing.
you mean she was trying to tell her the whole story to basically tell her you're a version of me?
Something like that.
I yeah, I don't know.
But
I get
when did Miranda realize that?
yeah, that wasn't my I think my what I thought she was trying to say was like this one of these children was your child.
But
But
that goes
yeah.
hand in hand.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe when people die they start to know things.
When did Miranda realize that? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's what I don't understand.
I
What
mean, maybe
is
she's just
there?
saying like one of these children is my child. Help me save my
But she did know. She did know, right? Oh, never mind. I have, well, she knew at least, she didn't know about the reincarnation thing, I think. But
I
she
don't think
did
Miranda
know,
did.
well, maybe she
but
did,
she
but my
knew that
point,
there were ones of her before.
yeah.
She
Like
knew
she,
there were
like,
chosen people who were chosen to save the children, but I don't think she
yeah.
knew that there's reincarnation going
Yeah, yeah,
on.
yeah. Fair enough. But my point is, like, she did know about that part of it. So I can only assume that, maybe while she was there, she had an experience like Tabitha where she realized that she was, a reincarnation of someone who had been there before, and then it went back to this big sacrifice, and that's why she needed to save the kids. And I assume that's more or less what happened. Like it's a cycle repeating itself. So she went
Yeah.
through something like what Tabitha has
Yeah, it is
Hmm.
gone
interesting
through.
that
Hmm.
we don't ever find out definitively this is what Miranda was trying to tell Tabitha.
Yeah, yeah, they
Like
definitely don't
Yeah,
say it directly.
there's stuff we can speculate based on other stuff
because
we've
there's
learned,
what
but yeah.
Tabitha saw, which was really just about her leaving Victor and Eloise and going to the tree and dying.
Yeah,
And then anything more than that is just sort of what Tabitha is intuiting from that experience, which is like that's what I was like saying. Like, what is what was she trying to tell her? Because from what we saw, it was pretty obvious. Oh, I died this way, or I'm trying to get to the tree to save the kids. But the thing about reincarnation is a whole bigger deal, and that just seemed to be
Yeah.
like downloaded to her in her emotional state versus just
yeah,
something you see
yeah,
visually.
yeah, yeah. No, you're totally right. It was not visualized at all.
Yeah.
Uh, so,
Yeah. I mean
but Jade got something similar, like he was like remembering stuff all of a sudden. So, you know, like, yeah, I just assume that's what it was, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't prove it. It's the thing we learned that was relevant to Miranda. So,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna throw in with that, but I mean, yeah, they definitely didn't say it. So
Also, shouldn't one of the Ankui kids be the kid that they were trying to save?
I assume that was the one.
the one
The
that
little
walked up to
girl?
them.
Yeah, I assume that was the one. Like that
Okay,
that was
then
the
shouldn't Ankui
implication.
mean like you don't get a hug? Like, I mean, you're
Yeah,
reincarnated
well,
parent. Like, can you get a high
and
five? All I
and
get's an Ankui, huh? All
just
right,
on
okay.
cooey, y'all. Just on cooey. That's all I need. I don't need a hug. I just need on cooey. Yeah, it wasn't much. I agree. It was not a tearful reunion, but it just seems like it makes sense that that's who that was. But I agree they didn't say
Uh-huh.
that either. So I don't know. Rampant
But it's like it's
speculation.
not really her kid either. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
whatever the
weird.
Yeah,
previous.
I know, but
it's
it's just
a
it's weird. It's
it's a both and neither. It's not. It's sort of her kid spiritually, but not physically or something. But it's
Yeah,
it's a, it's a strange dynamic. It's just weird. Yeah, I guess we'll get to the scene when Jade is yelling at them about it. But yeah, like why aren't y'all saying more? Y'all appearing to us. Y'all are creepy looking kids, but
yeah.
like y'all want our help, but you won't tell us what you want. Like it's such a weird. Yikes.
Is there gonna be some ritual, like part of the sacrifice, where they're like, these kids are gonna appear, but like we'll make it where all they can say is Ankui.
Oh my
And no one will
God.
know that it means remember.
Please no. Please let's not have that scene.
Yeah,
Oh man,
that sounds bad.
I've seen versions of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
could,
know. That's why I thought it.
and all the language was taken from them except for
Yep.
one word.
One word. Ankui.
Yeah.
That was all they could say.
One word they could never forget.
Was remember. Yep, there it is. That's the line. You
Oh,
just wrote it. Oh my god. If they steal it, they should pay you.
wow.
I will demand it.
Oh, so
Um
dumb.
All right, what are we at?
you ready for the next
Yeah, let's
scene?
go. Let's
All
go.
right. Elgin tries to leave and is blocked going down the stairs by Boyd, Donna, and Sarah.
Oh
They
no,
take
Elgin! It's just everyone in town blocking you. Don't worry, you're not in trouble.
Yeah.
they take him back up to Donna's room. Kenny's there too. Elgin sits in a chair. Boyd asks Kenny to watch the door. Boyd wonders about the supplies that Elgin packed. He sees the Polaroid camera. He asks where Fatima is. After hesitation, he admits uh, that's Elgin admits, she told me not to say anything. He explains that he's trying to help and that this is a good thing and that he thinks Kimono Lady is an angel.
Mm-mm-mm.
Boyd, Elgin's angel. Boyd tells, Boyd
That's
tells,
a lifetime Christmas movie.
it really is. Boyd tells Elgin about the ultrasound. Elgin says he's sure it's a good thing. Sarah cuts in and explains that she thought they would go home if she, quote, killed a little boy. She tries to explain not to trust the place. Elgin thinks Fatima will be fine. Donna points out the pregnancy can't be that far along, but as Elgin tries to say, it is far along. Elgin, or sorry, Ellis, let me read that again. As Elgin tries to say it is far along, Ellis grabs Elgin and demands to know where Fatima is. Boyd and the others pull him off of Elgin and out of the room. Boyd tries to get him to calm down. Sarah thinks he won't tell them if he really believes this will save everyone. Boyd asks where the tools are. Donna tells him the obvious place. Boyd says no one goes back in the room.
I love that the tools are in the obvious place, except for that axe, which is in
Except
the
for the
kitchen.
axe. Yeah.
Yeah, you make a
Love
point.
that.
You make a
She's like,
point.
isn't the tool shed obvious? It's like, yeah, but there's some things you don't keep there, isn't there?
That's true. That's true. I guess he didn't need the axe, so they didn't have to go to
Um,
the axe cupboard. But yeah.
yeah.
You make a point. That's not.
This episode would have gone very differently if they'd have done the thing that seemed obvious to me, which was, oh, good, let's follow Elgin.
I swear, I thought Sarah was gonna go up there and pretend to be on his side and go, I
Uh-huh.
know what it's like to have the voices in your head. Let me help you. And
Yeah.
she was gonna have him escape and then just follow him where he's gonna go.
Yeah,
That would have
I
been
mean,
real
there
easy.
is no way
He
that
literally was going
Elgin.
there.
Yeah, he
Yes,
was
he was
absolutely
going
going
there with
there.
a packed bag. They even acknowledged it.
Yeah.
And
They
you
actually should
cannot
have
tell me
done
that you wouldn't have been able to tail his ass. Like,
they
he's
actually yeah.
not stealthy.
They should have done that to begin with. Oh, he's at Colony House. Okay, well let's it's really the
Yeah.
urgency that prevents them from, doing some of these things. They don't want to wait around, but they could have said, okay, well, let's just wait and see what he goes, but
Yeah.
yeah.
They didn't they would have gotten it done faster, you know?
I will
Because he was
say
leaving with the pack. Anyway.
he was going. Although he's a little late, like he should have already had that stuff there. But anyway, um, you know what I mean? Like she's giving
Yeah.
birth in like 5 minutes. Why are you just not
Yeah.
bringing this stuff? But
Yeah.
I guess you have to kidnap her first. It takes time.
True.
I was gonna say Sarah has been rehabbed for me as a character. I think when in her early years, her early episodes and stuff, she was the crazy girl and you can't trust her, and she, trying to get Ethan and killed her brother and all that, hearing voices. And, it's this kind of trope we've seen before, and it can be kind of frustrating to watch a character just go through this kind of internal struggle and then be ostracized. And so she didn't really get a lot of like goodwill, obviously. But I gotta say, like something happened, I guess this last season or two, where she got when she stopped hearing the voices and got rehabbed a little bit with her apology toward everybody and stuff like that. Like something about her character turned the corner for me, and I'm like, I actually like her now. And I was happy when Boyd went to go get her help, and I was like, yeah, perfect person. And I kind of saw it coming what she ends up doing later because I
Yeah.
was like, I know she's there to do something drastic,
Yeah.
that's specifically relating to Ellis and Elgin in this situation, and that
Yeah.
she's familiar with. But anyway, yeah, I just want to say, like, I felt like I like her character, especially when she's intense and when she's like motivated to do something. Like, both the actress and the character I like now, so she's come on 180 to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very Saeed in this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll do
Well,
what you won't.
Boyd's the Saeed, and then she becomes the Saeed. She takes
Mega
over for
Saeed.
yeah.
I'll out Saeed you. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Season four
Uh,
Saeed when he's just killing everybody
yep.
and not asking questions.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with your point. And the other thing I was going to say about this scene is I think this basically explains how Elgin is thinking about
Yes.
this
Oh
Komodo
man.
lady
When he
thing.
said angel, I was like, oh god. Okay,
Yeah.
well then
Yeah.
then you really are never gonna talk.
Yeah, you remember that part in the Bible? It's like, and then the weird ass Komodo
Oh.
lady showed up and said, like, you're gonna have a baby and it's gonna be weird, but like, just drink this blood and you'll be fine. It's just like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
Yeah.
seriously? You thought this was an angel? But okay, like,
Yeah.
once he said it, I'm like, okay, this is how
But
I'm
the
supposed
thing
to
is,
believe that he went along with all that shit.
what you just described, it would fit in the Bible. So it's no
Yeah,
crazier than the things that actually
I
happened.
mean, you're not
Uh,
wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Drink the blood. Yeah, there's blood drinking.
I mean,
You know.
that was his point, so fair
Yeah, yeah,
enough.
yeah. But and they say angels look strange anyway or whatever. Obviously, there's the uh angelic version of angels to
Right.
strangely use a phrase, but like in the Bible, they describe angels in this weird conceptual way, right? So,
Yeah, it's like
uh,
terrifying in appearance.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think, but the other thing about the kimono lady is, since we're talking about her, is just that she gave me this feeling that she was a midwife. I don't know why. The whole time, I guess
Gula Dula, please.
yeah, Gula Dula, right? And I was just like, huh, why? And then that's exactly what she does. And I'm like, I
Yep,
don't
Yeah.
get it.
yep,
Why did she come off like a midwife?
yep,
Just by
yep.
how she looks, I didn't get it. But
Yeah, you picked it up. You picked it up for sure. Quick question, y'all, while we're here. What is fucking Komodo Lady? Is she
that's
a
what I'm
monster?
saying.
Is she like
No,
a ghost servant of the monster? Like, what the fuck? I'm so
she's the Gula
confused.
Dula.
Gula Dula! She's our Gula Dula! Yeah, like what? Like why? Where did she come from? You know what I mean? They explained the monsters in this episode, but they
Yeah.
didn't explain Komodo lady. Like, what the who is this? Like, why
Well,
is
now
she?
she's like yellow man in the yellow. She's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's more than just these monsters.
Hmm.
Alright. I just had to ask the question because
But it
Elgin
is
has
strange
his
because she can
interpretation, but
appear to seemingly whoever she wants,
yeah, just
possibly
whenever.
whenever,
Yeah.
and she's
Wherever.
has physical form
Not
in
limited by
the
the
real world.
talisman or anything
Yeah,
that we can
yeah,
tell.
She
and
can
she can
operate a
she can
Polaroid camera.
control. Yeah, she can make a camera depict whatever she wants it to. That's crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
It is really crazy, actually.
She'd be the
Uh,
world's best photographer.
oh God, so true. All right, are you ready to
Yeah.
continue?
Let's do it.
All right, so Henry goes up to Victor sitting on the merry-go-round. He asks about Jasper. Victor says he was right; it was just a doll. Henry apologizes for not being more helpful. Victor says he needs to show Henry something, but it'll make him angry, but he has to show him anyway. And we'll come back to that. Boyd enters the tool shed and grabs some tools. Father Khatri appears and tries to give Boyd a conscience about torturing Elgin. Khatri points out Boyd's hypocrisy about Tilly and lying to people about all that and whatever. He tries to reason with Boyd about what Elgin believes, saying that Boyd is not better than anyone else. Boyd gets angry at Khatri for dying, saying he's doing the best he can. Khatri reminds him that he didn't want to let the place break him, but if he does this, the place has won. This is what Claude was talking about. They're trying to bring that back here. Boyd says, what about Fatima? Khatri says, well, it's a hard choice, but it determines what kind of person you are. Boyd leaves.
Yeah, I should have predicted that Khatri would show back up.
Khatri did not seem sinister here. He really seemed like a voice inside Boyd's head.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
That's how he came across.
And especially because he didn't, from what I remember, he didn't actually have anything to weigh in on about what's happening with Fatima.
No.
Like, should the baby be born or not? Should you go stop her? Is this gonna
No.
be good for you guys or not? Bad for you guys?
No.
He's not about. It's all about Boyd's personal,
Yeah.
moral
How
line
far will you go
here.
to deal with this?
Well, I would say to contradict myself
Oh, go for it.
is in terms of is he a bad guy apparition? Is what I liked about this was the idea that he, when they set up the idea, okay, Boyd, you don't think we can break you? Okay, yeah, let's just wait and see, and then things are gonna happen, and then we'll see if he gets broken or whatever. But like in terms of coming back to that, like how do you know if you're broken, right? Who gets to determine this test, this bet, really? And I thought it was interesting that he decides, well, I'm just gonna throw out a line in the sand and tell you that if you cross it, you're broken.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's incepting the idea in him that, hey, no, you don't get to just go torture. If you torture, that's crossing the line, and then you will have lost this, this bet, so to speak.
Yeah.
So to me, I thought, okay, that's what I would say if I was the bad guy. I would let Boyd know, okay, here comes your test, and you're about to fail it. So that, because it's almost like for Boyd to be broken, Boyd has to believe he's broken, right? So, the monster can't just show up and say, oh, we broke you. Boyd has to actually believe it for it to be true, is how I'm taking it.
Yeah.
So one way to believe that is to say, hey, if you go in torture, you're going to be broken. So then if he goes in torture, he'll go, oh, shit, now I'm broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense. I hear what you're saying.
I thought his wife was going to show up right before Khatri appeared. I was like, oh, we're going to see a ghost. It's going to be the wife.
Yeah.
But I forgot about Khatri, and I was like, yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready to continue?
Do it.
Okay, so Fatima pounds on the door in the root cellar. I do mean the door, not the hatch, just to clarify. She grabs the jar of blood and throws it at the wall, breaking it. And then she picks up a piece of broken glass.
Ugh.
I was like, girl, you ain't in that hatch yet. I thought you climbed in the hatch before. I thought you was already down there.
No. It opens by itself. Like, she couldn't
clearly
open it.
Yeah, I thought for some reason, I was like, oh, I thought you would have already opened it and been done. Yeah, but no.
No. Okay. Jim, Jade, and Tabitha arrive at Victor's truck. Jade points out that he and Tabitha and Miranda have seen the children. Jade recounts seeing them in the tunnel and the symbol. This prompts Tabitha to recapitulate the thing that Victor said about the kids pouring their hopes into the roots, which became the bottle tree, blah, blah, blah. Jade has a breakdown about this, saying, you could have just told me. He's not saying this to Tabitha. He's saying this to, like, the sky. He's saying this to, like, the spirits of the place or the kids or something along those lines.
Yeah.
You could have just told me. He yells at the sky about it. Oh, I said that. Jade says, we will wait here for an answer. He sits down to wait for an answer. All right. Jade's done. It's not really true, but that's what he says. So yeah, this is where like they finally put together the stuff that Victor said with this plot line, because I felt before like it's weird that they haven't mentioned that yet. I think I now know why they didn't mention it, because they were leading up to a big reveal about it. But anyway,
Wait, mention what?
the connection between all the visions, the various visions of the kids, and
Mm.
the thing that Victor learned.
And the big
Gotcha.
reveal, you just mean later on in this episode.
What?
By the big reveal, you mean later on
Oh
in
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
episode,
In this
not this
episode.
scene. You're not implying that there's some big reveal here that I missed.
No, 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 no. No, no,
Yep.
no. I'm just saying, like, why they didn't press on that point more before, I think, is because they were saving it. Much similarly to, I think,
Mhm.
this thing with Eloise, like, they know when they're going to go to a certain place, and I think they keep certain things quiet. So
Yeah.
I think, like, when they keep
Uh,
quiet about something conspicuously, it's worth keeping an eye on that thing.
Yeah.
yeah. Can I say I still don't? We learned some foundational things here, but I still don't understand how any of that made this place. Um,
I'm not sure it made the place, actually.
yeah, because it
I think
seems
it made the
like,
monsters,
but
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 not the place.
but didn't they say it all started with these kids? Well, it didn't all start with the kids. If this place, now
Yeah.
maybe some
Depends on what you mean
smaller
by
version of
it,
what's happening.
okay?
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe this cyclical thing that's happening, or people getting trapped there. Maybe you used to be able to leave easier or something
Yeah.
before this kid
Yeah.
thing happened,
Yeah.
or
That's part of what
but
I
I
was
don't.
trying to get at the beginning before we launched into the scenes is like there's this whole thing about the kids, but it's not
Mhm.
clear how that relates to some of the like the origin stories of these other
Yeah,
things that are going
because
on.
there's something that had the power to create the
Yeah.
monsters, or
Right.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
then
Right.
what were the parents sacrificing their kids to,
Yeah, how would they
right?
even know to do that? Yeah, no. I think it's like kind of a cheat line. Like I think it's sort of an origin for some of the stuff we've seen. So like it's like this is where it all started. But yeah, in terms of the place, like I agree. I don't think that's when the place started. I
Yeah,
think the place was already there, and that's where the monster started. That's my current belief, at least.
yeah.
All right. Are you ready
Yeah.
to continue? Okay, so Randall does some pull-ups, and then here's the cicadas. He rips off his face bandage, and then goes to the um he goes to the ambulance. Inside the infirmary, Marielle tends to Christie's ankle. Randall busts in and asks where the equipment from the ambulance is. Marielle tells him. He goes downstairs, grabs the defibrillator, and carries it into his room. And then he turns it on and tries to defibrillate his head. Marielle charges in and stops him, and she tells him that it will be okay. All right.
Okay.
Comments.
I guess I'm surprised that they didn't get to an endpoint with Randall and Marielle.
It
They
is
moved forward
weird.
with Julie, but not with them.
Yeah, and like Julie's thing is not even clear to me what the connection is. Like,
Hmm.
can she only do that because she went through this like trance thing, or could she have done that before and she just didn't go? You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
obvious what that gave her the ability, but I totally agree that they've been slow walking this thing this whole season, and they're still slow
yeah.
walking it. It's
They only
crazy.
just confirmed, I guess. Well, they said it earlier, but like really confirmed that Marielle's not okay. But they didn't say
They did.
what's happening to her. It doesn't seem like it's cicadas.
Yep. Yeah, it's
So
it's kind of vague. Like they didn't actually give
yeah.
her a specific thing. Like Julie's thing was screaming, Randall has cicadas, and yeah, I don't
Yeah, and
know.
she's just
Marielle has
quiet, and
something.
it's weird, and even with Randall and the bandage, and he looks like Smiley, but like half Smiley with the way that his face is cut. I'm like, is that on
Yeah.
purpose? Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
still
Yeah.
confused why they attacked him and let him go and just didn't do
I
anything else. but
And
torture him with cicada sounds.
that went nowhere. I don't get the point of that. I now that the season's over, I'm like, I feel like that was a waste of time. Like that there
Hmm.
was no outcome of that. Randall could have been tortured by the cicadas without that happening. Like the only thing
Yeah,
that
maybe it's
did
just
is it
about Boyd, breaking
yeah.
Boyd.
That's what they tried to tie it into for sure. But I feel like even that like kind of fizzled because Randall didn't go out. Like I expected there to be a whole thing where Randall was gonna go out for revenge and and like that didn't happen. Like
Hmm.
he was just like he got mad a little bit when he first came in like on the couch like
Yeah,
oh boy you left me, but after that he didn't say shit. Like he's just been like
yeah.
dealing with like I'm haunted by these cicadas and he's not even like I don't know, he doesn't even seem like he's particularly worried. I mean maybe I guess with defibrillating his head maybe it was just like it would be a relief to die.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't so bad. He's like literally trying to kill himself, right? Or is he just trying to like shock his brain
He's trying to
into
make the sound stop however he can. I don't think
yeah.
he's trying to kill himself. He's just
Okay.
trying to make it stop with something
Okay.
drastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he could kill himself, a lot of easier ways.
Right. Sure, sure, sure. No, that makes sense. All right. So you ready for the next scene?
Yep.
Okay. So Boyd arrives back at Colony House with the tools. He says, no one comes upstairs. What happens next is on him. He goes upstairs. Kenny tries to talk Boyd out of it, but Boyd isn't hearing it and tells Kenny to go downstairs. Kenny leaves. After a beat, Boyd enters the room. Elgin says he can't tell where Fatima is. Boyd says he understands. He grabs a table and starts placing the tools on the table. The Polaroid goes off. Elgin says that's how the angel sends messages to him. Boyd
Mm-mm.
Boyd looks at it and it's a picture of a house.
Ugh.
And we're like, what is that? I don't know what we're
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
supposed to think about that. And it's like, oh, it's the lighthouse episode from Lost.
Yes, that's how I took it.
That's totally what it felt like to me. Like, ooh, like we know we like that to me that's actually like another level from what we've had before. Like there have been some vague hints, and we did see Boy and White in the real world, and but like this was like another like we can take like I can make this Polaroid produce a picture of this thing that's like not even here.
Yeah,
And
what
I know
Hmm.
what it is and where it is and what it means to you. And I will make it come out right now. I don't know. To me,
what it
like that's
Hmm.
reminded
like
me of was the jukeboxes. Like that was a
Hmm.
very jukeboxy thing. Like the jukebox plays the if
To
I had a
on
vote.
demand.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And they did reference that
Oh, about
briefly.
boat is funny because yeah, he said the boat was missing.
The boat thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But I
Uh,
didn't I didn't I didn't know if that meant that that was a picture because I guess he said they were on their way to move to that house, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
And like they never got there. So I didn't know if that meant like this was like the picture of the house now, or was it a picture back when he was going to move into it? I don't know if it matters, but
I think it doesn't matter, but I guess yeah, it is hard to make sense of it. They were giving him
because
they
what does missing the boat mean if he never moved there to have the boat there? It's just a weird when he's like, "Oh, it's missing the boat." Well, you didn't actually bring your boat there, did you?
I think that the implication is there's a boat there that was the gift. Like he doesn't know about the boat until like very shortly before they see the tree and get stuck here. It was like a surprise gift.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's what I was gonna
So
say.
since that we do see the lake but we don't see the boat, I think that the meaning of that line is really I don't think it's significant that there's not a
It's
boat
more
in the
about the
picture. I
accuracy
think
of.
it's yeah, and just sort of like this emotional like that he's pushing back against like, yep, way to go. You showed me a picture of the house that I was moving to when I came here. Only thing missing is
Mm-hmm.
the boat. Like he's just trying
Gotcha. Yeah,
to
I can see.
I don't know.
he's like, yeah, you're right. That's it. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm not impressed by you, kind of.
That don't impress me much.
Yeah.
So what? You're a kimono wearing angel who wants to give birth to a smiley monster demon.
Oh,
Yikes.
boy.
All right.
Ready for the next scene?
Yeah, there's more.
All right. So there is more. Victor brings Henry to a small clearing. He shows Henry a stone that he painted and reveals that Miranda's buried there. There is another painted rock. Henry asks if that is Eloise. Victor says he thinks so. It was just pieces. She was so small, there wasn't much left. Then Victor explains that the boy in white told Christopher, and then Victor told Miranda thing. Still, and this is my comment. Still, no one acknowledges that Miranda knew about the Ankui kids before Victor said anything.
Yeah,
But okay.
I thought that was gonna happen.
Henry could have said that right then. And
Yeah.
I thought he was going to, and I was so annoyed that he didn't. But instead, okay,
Yeah,
Victor's.
because knowing about the kids is different than the reason she left that night.
I know, but it's just like Victor is still guilty about it. Henry says some boilerplate stuff.
Yeah.
Victor says you can stop being my dad, but Henry says that he'll never stop. More boilerplate. They hug it out. Okay, yeah, like that's what bugged me. Like I wanted him to say like she was gonna find her way to the kids one way or another.
Yeah.
That's why she went to that place. That's why she left the house that day. That's why she did all those paintings.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't your fault. Like I just felt like that was the obvious thing to say, and he didn't. He just
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, you were just a boy. You didn't know what
Mhm.
you were doing," and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
instead of I agree. They keep trying to alleviate his guilt by saying that he couldn't have known better, but the point is the onus was on her for her actions, what she decided to do with what she knew. Yeah, it's a yeah. I don't know. I guess they're just trying to lean on the emotional part of it for
yeah,
Victor,
yeah.
and
But I
not the
feel like they
logic.
could. I feel like they could tie it in. Like it could be part of why Victor's guilt can be alleviated because it's like you know, uh sure, like you stepped in at this critical moment, but like the whole reason she was there had and wanted to rescue the kids had nothing to do with Victor. And I feel like they
Hmm.
are portraying it like he's the one that told her about all that stuff and she didn't know anything about it before. And it's you know what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
annoying to me that the show that isn't acknowledging that and especially now that we have this like long line of like reincarnations coming and doing the same thing. Like it's way bigger than Victor told his mom this thing one time you know
Yeah.
so it's just I don't know. Ugh, I got so mad anyway. That's my rant about that scene. But I do think the another big takeaway from this is, I mean, this is just like TV rules. When Victor's like, I think that's Eloise, I'm like, it's not. She
Yeah,
survived.
no, yeah, just pieces. She was so small. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So is she in
I
the real world? Is she somewhere else in the from world? Like that's what I'm wondering.
Maybe she's kimono lady.
Maybe hey, it is not impossible. Komodo lady is
Uh,
is probably about the right age.
yeah. I mean, can you tell from that face?
Well,
How old do you think she is, Justin? You seem pretty
uh,
sure
yeah,
how old
Komodo.
she
I
is.
I think Komodo lady is 40-ish.
400 years old?
40, 45. I don't know.
4 to 5? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
thought
just
it was
saying like she
hilarious.
could plausibly be. I'm not saying like I actually know what age she is.
I thought it was hilarious when Victor was like, "Yeah, you're right. It wasn't Jasper. He's just a dummy."
Yep,
Because it's like a lot of times Victor's right about the weird stuff. This time he was wrong. And then so
yep,
then I'm thinking of it from Henry's perspective when he's like, "Oh, so I went and risked my life and my son's life for a dummy. I thought it was a dummy the whole time, but he convinced me
yep.
it wasn't. Okay." And then he goes, no, it was the boy in white, which I'm like, does Henry even know who that? Okay, he does know because Tabitha talked about him. But
Yep.
that's even crazier because
And
that's like a
Miranda.
ghost boy.
Yep.
Oh, and Miranda, yeah, too. So it's like, it was like, okay, great. My son knows that dummies can't talk, but okay, my son's talking to ghosts. So
Yeah.
not quite helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're
I did
right. It's
appreciate the headstones made sense. What Victor tried to do. It was because I didn't even think of the logistics of all that. What would we have done with those bodies and stuff like that?
yeah. Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
nice that
Yeah.
he tried to take care of them and had a place for them and all that.
Yeah. 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 Gave him a marker and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
I
No, I
agree.
agree.
Eloise is I get. I feel like she's out there, but I don't know why. Why does it matter if she's out there? What is she gonna do? What is she?
I
What
don't know
information
why it
does she have?
matters. I haven't gotten
You
that
know.
far.
And I
It's
did want to
not
talk about the boy
obvious.
in white's mission with Tabitha
Oh,
and what was he trying to get her to do?
well, God.
Because
I'm
yeah, I don't
already
know.
angry.
We want to talk about that, but yeah, I want to talk about that.
As soon as you mentioned Boy and White, and like, oh God, such a pet peeve for me. I just can't even with that kid. Who's old now.
Hmm.
All right. So so let's see. Uh oh, I wrote God, I keep doing this. I wrote Victor, but I think I mean Jade. I keep calling Jade Victor.
Yeah.
Um Jade recapitulates the numbers and the bottles. Jim thinks maybe it means nothing. Tabitha says that
Way to go, Jim.
yeah, thanks,
Well,
Jim.
it seems like they're setting him up to have this epiphany.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
are. That's definitely why they start there and then go to oh
Yeah.
wait, maybe I solved it.
Exactly.
Um
Maybe I lucked into it.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Um Tabitha says that Miranda knew those bottles were important. Quote, why else would she have a
Mm-mm-mm.
replica in her
Oh God.
backyard?
All
I
I
right.
have to complain about this.
know. I
I'll finish the
know.
scene and then I'll complain. Jim asked about the numbers. There are 10 plus 2 backwards, which is 12. Jade says he's tried everything to decode it and he names the stuff. Jim mentions that there are 12 notes in a quote scale. Jade is pleased about this and he wants to go to the bar. He tells Jim to get Victor's violin. And that is actually Victor's violin, not Jade's.
Or is it? Jade keeps stealing it.
Well, it's sort of becoming Jade's violin, but originally I believe it was Victor's
Yeah.
violin.
All right. So you and I just get your rant over with.
Yeah. I just that line, I was like, no, 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 no. Like that's such a weird way to phrase it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it should have been that's why she created it in the real world, or something. Like it shouldn't be
It
why else
doesn't.
would she have a
Yeah.
replica in her backyard? Like
Well,
what?
let's also add to the list that wasn't she an artist? Wasn't this an art?
Yes.
Didn't she do one of them as an art exhibit?
Yes.
Right. And then
And
she
then
has the
she
one at
made
the
the
park,
replica was of her
and then
own exhibit.
exactly. So
So
let's
that's
not
why I'm
forget
like,
that.
what are you talking
Oh my
about? That doesn't make
God.
any
Yeah.
sense. It's like they forgot what the point of that story was. Like it's
Yeah.
ugh. So anyway,
And
that's what I
also
was
that she
alluding
could
to
have
when I talked about the bottle tree earlier. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
and
Yeah.
And when they said Miranda knew the bottles were important, I guess she just means the numbers, right? The bottles aren't important, aren't the numbers
Yeah,
important?
yeah, yeah. That's a good Claude point. You're totally
That's
right.
the pedantic part of me that I
Yep.
hate lines like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but you're not wrong. It's really not
Because
the
and I feel
bottles that
like
are
maybe
important.
but I feel like the reason they have that line like that is because if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if we know one way or the other, but the trees that are in the real world don't necessarily have those numbers in the bottles. They just have the bottles. So I feel like that's why they're
Right.
saying, "Oh, her trees had bottles because she knew the bottles were important." But really, the point is that the numbers are what's important, not the bottles.
Right. Sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
But they have the right
Yeah.
bottles because ones that she did didn't necessarily have
Did
numbers in them.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's why they were backed into a corner with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. But yeah, also the chromatic scale is like not, I don't know, whatever, Jen.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, I already complained about that. I
But
won't
here's
do
the
it
thing:
again.
is that just to give them a break. Any other scale, if you was like 5, 6, 7, 8, no, whatever. So what scale is it? Like, there's so
Yeah,
many scales
there's a
that would fit that.
ton.
So
Yeah.
they have to narrow it down to some degree, and that's.
Chromatic scale
Uh,
is probably the simplest one where you could like be certain that you get the intervals right.
Yeah, I
So,
will say this just as an interesting tidbit. Back in season one, I found this on Reddit. Back in season one, episode 5, when you remember when Jim wrote all over the walls? I forgot what he
Yeah.
was
oh
writing,
yeah,
but
he
he
was
wrote
like
all over the
writing
walls,
stuff,
and he was
Mm-hmm.
like
trying to figure it out.
questions, like
Yeah,
what
that's
is,
it, the
why
questions.
are we here or something, or
Yeah,
what?
so he wrote down every question, and then
Yeah.
so they come to a scene where Tabitha's, he's looking at everything he wrote, and Tabitha goes, "You figured out yet?" He goes, "Yeah, I did, and the answer is 12." So
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
just
funny.
throwing that in there,
12.
just
That's
throwing that
funny.
in there.
That's really funny.
Precedent for
I
12.
don't quite
Yeah,
believe that that's what they meant at the time, but it's a good
yeah,
coincidence.
yeah,
I mean, maybe, but I'm not convinced, especially with some of the retconning they like to do on this
yeah.
show.
And so far before we saw the bottle tree and all that, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
But anyway, just to take real quick, just to bring back to what we were saying about Jade being a genius, all around super genius. It was just odd that he spent all that time and never. He tried every mathematical, astronomical, astrological, Babylonian 12-point numerical cipher he could imagine, but he forgot about music.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one thing that worked. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, they had to write it that way, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Okay. So Marielle asked Christy about Randall. Christy gave him something to help him sleep. Christy wants Marielle to talk about the trance experience and the aftermath, asking if she's okay. Marielle admits that she's not okay, and she doesn't think any of them are going to be. Exit Marielle for the rest of the episode.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. We don't. Yeah. We don't get much from Marielle on I was glad that they acknowledged this.
Yeah,
But it doesn't amount to anything really. Well,
no,
yeah.
not
Actually,
yet.
there hasn't been much Christy either.
No,
Chris,
no,
Christy got a bear trap
that
solved
was
by
it.
Christy.
Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
didn't know what
Marielle
to
did
do with her
half of the
this
Christy
season.
scenes this
She
season.
did,
yeah.
yeah. She was subbing because Christy's ankle was broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing. I don't know if any of that was successful. Any of that stuff with that little where they found the vegetables growing and the little shacks and stuff. I don't know
Cabin
if any of that was
Thumper.
really. Yeah, the cabin thumper, the visions. It just was all like I don't know. I don't know if it really came together.
Well, it had that thing about Miranda or Tabitha's like childhood dreams,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of interesting. What did it mean? I don't know.
Now it calls into question what that dream even meant, right? Yeah, like
Right.
I thought it was kind of a lost thing. I
I
thought
mean,
she was
I
going to reveal that her and Jade had been, I was going to say the island, had been to the From world before. I thought but instead she says they're reincarnated. But I
yeah,
thought she meant like
right.
literally as kids we had been here, and that's why we have a connection,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, I did too. Yeah.
Because what is that dream? So
I guess I don't
is that a
yeah.
memory from a previous incarnation or something then?
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. A
Okay.
memory from a previous incarnation, but what what if anything they're going to tell us was unfolding
Yeah,
in
whatever
that
thing she was hiding
moment?
from.
Yeah. Right.
Hmm.
I don't know. Shall we proceed?
All right, let's proceed.
All right. Elgin asks Boyd about the picture as Boyd ties him to the chair. Boyd explains that it was his house, the one they were going to when they ran into the tree. Elgin interprets it to mean that they're going home.
Oh,
All right, Elgin,
Elgin.
great. Um, Boyd isn't buying it. He pulls out some tools, he grabs the hammer. Elgin continues trying to talk him down. Boyd demands to know where Fatima is. Elgin refuses. Patry appears and watches. Boyd tells Elgin to put his hand on the table, and then he forces it there. He raises the hammer. Boyd hits Elgin's hand with the hammer and asks where Fatima is. Downstairs, the others wait and hear the yells of pain as Akopsta enters.
Mm.
Oh no.
First name Danny with an I, apparently. Perhaps Danielle, or dare I say Daenerys? Anyway, um, Akopsta hears the yelling and charges upstairs. She enters the room as Boyd is threatening Elgin with a hammer. She demands to know what Boyd is doing, asking for an explanation. Boyd says, "Everyone downstairs."
Oh
It's like a
boy.
comedy of errors
It
all of a
really
sudden.
is. They're just, yeah, shuffling back and forth. Cops,
Yeah.
can I just say, like,
Yes, you can.
I was given a cops to the benefit of the doubt. I
Mhm.
thought, like, all right, it's been pretty bad so far, but
Yeah.
maybe they got something in mind, and maybe somehow this will work in the end. Kind of like what you were saying about Sarah. It was like it started out a little rocky, but
Yeah.
like she kind of redeemed herself over time, and like you eventually learn to like the character. But like, what the fuck was she doing this season? Like, she's nothing she does in this episode contributes much of value. What did she do before that?
Yeah. I
Like,
don't know why she's here. I
I
don't know
don't
why she didn't
either.
die in that first night she was there. She should have died after,
With the
whatever. She
EMT
got a
number
little
one
bit
and
of
number
drama.
two.
Yeah, she got a little bit of drama from, killing the the
Yeah,
the resident
the
there,
red shirt
and
from Colony House.
yeah, but
Yeah,
after that, I don't understand. And then I thought they were gonna make her a reluctant deputy,
me too.
team her up with Boyd, but Boyd just got Kenny to come
Kenny
back.
again. That didn't happen. Yeah, I expected
Yeah,
that, and I thought, well, that would make sense, but they didn't do that. It's just she's just there. Like it's like what?
they need her for something. They need her, they need her for something. I don't know what it's gonna be. I'm wondering if there's some actors wanting to leave the show. Like, does Jim get killed
Mm,
because he wants to leave the show?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
Donna gonna
maybe.
leave? I feel like Acosta and Donna are in similar veins. I'm like, is Donna gonna leave the show and
Mm-hmm.
Acosta takes over running Colony House or
Mm-hmm.
something? Or
Yeah, they could
so
do
I don't
that.
know. I feel like they're I'm optimistically hopeful. What is the phrase?
I
I mean,
Hopefully
hopefully
optimistic.
optimistic. I don't know. You can be
Yeah, there.
both. It seems okay to me. I don't know.
I mean, she is kind of being reasonable here, at
Yeah.
least.
I'm not saying she's being unreasonable. I just think
That's the
like,
problem. The
Yeah, but
problem is
in
she's
or in
never on the same page with everybody else. That's what's
right,
disrupting.
right,
Not that
right,
she isn't right about what's happening. The thing is, she was late to the party. We already went through the moral implications of what Boyd's about to do,
right.
well,
and
and
she wants
she's
to. Good.
sorry. I was just gonna say, and she's not a potent antagonist. She's not
Yes.
really doing anything to stop anything that's happening. She's just kind of
She
like,
just wants to say, she just wants to stop and say, "Hey, everybody, stop and explain to me what's
yeah,
going on here.
exactly,
Like, cater
exactly.
to me and what I need." And she doesn't get in where she fits in. She's disruptive in an odd way, which you want for conflict, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
But it's just sort of annoying at this point.
it's conflict that
Yeah.
doesn't really
I mean,
matter, and so that's why
Right.
I'm like, what's the point? Like, I don't think she's behaving unreasonably. I just think like, why did they write this?
Yeah.
Because it's like just to give her a scene. Like, I don't understand what the point of this
I
is.
well,
think
I
this is
mean,
to
it's just
get.
to
Well, this is
provide
to
the
get Sarah out of
opportunity
the
for
room.
Sarah
Well,
to
it does
be
get
Yeah.
Sarah out
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
room, but they could have done that in other ways. Anyone could have been the objector here,
It should have
but
been Kenny.
they
I
absolutely could have
want to
been
talk about
Kenny.
later how I think Kenny got let him off the hook and he shouldn't
He
have.
really did. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, it would have made sense for it to be Kenny. And like I would have bought that more. That would have had more weight to it. But like
Yeah.
Akopsta, the boy doesn't want to hear shit from Akopsta. He doesn't
No.
like Akopsta. So it's like it doesn't land the way it could have with or
Yeah.
even with Katri, appearing there. And so it's just, I don't know. It's a weird scene to me, but yeah, fair enough. That's what it does. It does function in a way, so I'll buy that. All right. Are you ready to continue?
Yes.
Okay. So at the bar, Tabitha and Jade look at the numbers, try to figure out what the music is. Jade seems to get it, though it makes no sense to me. He starts humming the melody. Jade starts pinning the numbers to the drawing of the tree and humming. Jim comes in with the violin. Jim asks what it is. Jade doesn't know. He could, quote, hear the music. Jim tries to get him to stop. He's not sure this is a good idea, saying the place is trying to hurt them. Jim mentions the haunted music box and the jukeboxes. Jade and Tabitha don't want to give up, but Tabitha suggests going to the tree to play the song. So
Well,
yeah,
perfect idea.
that's
Yeah.
what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Jim's points are good.
Yeah,
And also we got to hear that song.
I mean that's the thing. It's like I feel like Jim is he's gotten put in that Skylar White place where he's like standing in the way of stuff the viewers want to happen, or at least some of the viewers want to happen, and so it makes him annoying, even though what he's saying isn't necessarily unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, yeah, it really could. And with the man in the yellow coat, like maybe it actually was a bad thing that they did this.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is
It's
he's
an
not
interesting
being
point.
exactly the same old Jim because the old
True.
Jim would have said, "There's no point in playing the music. Don't
Yeah.
even look at
Right.
this at
He would have like
all. Like,
smashed the
there's
violin
nothing.
and
Yeah,
tried to
there's
like
nothing
punch Jade or
here.
something.
Yeah, there's a shot of all the papers on the table that he's trying to figure out, and a lot of them say 1603.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of interesting that that's the a lot of the numbers are the papers repeat numbers. I thought it was like each paper had a different sequence, but looks like
I
that's not
thought they
true.
said that they were all repeated, like from the two trees.
The two trees, yeah, but I mean within one tree the numbers are like
Oh,
repeated.
that
I
was
guess
all
because
from one
melody.
tree.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm looking at the image and there's like four different pieces of paper that say
Yeah,
1603.
maybe it's a
So
prop error.
So they go, all right. So this is the last scene in the bar, and then they go to
Yes,
the
they're
wood.
gonna go to
mhm.
the tree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're closing in on the
I
end
like
game
that as a
here.
plan, though. Yeah, I like that as a strategy. It made sense to go to the tree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it did.
amused by the line about the blast radius of a cursed
Yeah, that
song.
was
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. Classic Jade. All right. So we'll come back to that, obviously. Fatima has the piece of broken glass and starts cutting her belly with it. Kimono lady says stop, and then says it's coming as Fatima's water breaks. Ghost water, monster
Um,
water.
Actually,
Anyway,
that was like muddy monster water. It was not
yeah,
pretty.
yeah.
that there's a lot of muscle that she would never have been able to cut through.
No. No, 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 no,
No.
no. You
S-
can't cut through all that
Yeah,
stuff.
you
Yeah,
can't.
yikes.
You
Not
can't.
a piece of
Yeah.
glass like that.
No.
Yeah, I
No.
mean, all of Fatima's efforts were in vain, basically.
Yeah.
Um, Uh, all right. Are you ready to? We'll come back to that, obviously.
Yeah.
Julie
Yeah.
and Ethan sit at the diner. Ethan is worried about forgetting Tian Chen. Julie tells Ethan about going into the past and hearing Tabitha and Victor in the tunnels. She doesn't phrase it like that, but that's the gist. Ethan says she's a story walker. She can visit chapters that have already happened. Attention. Um, Julie wants to change the past, but Ethan says it's not possible. It doesn't work like that. You can visit, but not change them. And I wrote in parentheses, whatever happened, happened.
Yep.
No one can change a story once it's been told. That's what he says. Yeah, we kind of talked about this scene earlier. Um, uh, but but yeah, I think I don't know for sure because they did just have like Faraday say that on Lost, and like he, it wasn't like guaranteed to be true because then later he turns around and is like, nah, never mind that. Let's change stuff.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if I mean I do know that like what Ethan's saying isn't supposed to be like a law of how the place works, but maybe it will obey it anyway. Just throwing it out there.
Hmm.
I mean, I think it's irresistible to try when you might have the opportunity to change something big. Um,
Yeah.
so
I wanted Julie to mention the rope because that was like a concrete thing that she did that if she hadn't been there wouldn't have happened. But then I guess the response is like the lost thing, like that's what you
it
always
always
did.
happened, yeah.
That's the way it always happened. So it was always the lost characters
Yeah,
causing
the
the
past,
incidents.
the influence of the future was baked into the past already. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I sort of wanted her to bring that up since she like the other time she was just a kind of a silent observer and she didn't really
Yeah.
interact with anything. And so it makes more sense that like she can't do anything. But it's like she did. She had a brief conversation with Martin. She threw the rope down. Like she
Yep.
could do stuff. And so I think that definitely leaves room for, if not changing the past, affecting it.
But not changing it from the perspective of the present or future.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she can it she that can, yeah, if she story walks, then that version of her is having a present moment that she can do things
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so it'll feel like she's changing stuff, but actually it will just be that like there's been Julie's
Well, yeah.
around doing Julie stuff this whole time
It'll,
and we
yeah,
didn't even
exactly.
know.
Right, yeah. Yep.
Thumping around at the cabin.
Thumping around at the cabin. Yeah, you were right. The cabin thumper didn't get mentioned the rest of the
Mhm.
season. So I just want to go ahead and
All that,
acknowledge that.
yeah, all that stuff with the thumping, and then the whole when Jade, dismantled part of the
Oh
figurines
yeah.
there. I thought that was going to come into play.
Yeah,
That
that
didn't
didn't really
seem to
matter.
matter.
Yeah, that yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really face any consequences of that. There's a thing I want to bring up. I saw someone post about that's related to the guy Jade saw out there with the skull and the blood.
Oh, okay.
So I'll bring that up. I'll bring that up later.
Okay. All right. So we'll pick up with Boyd and Acosta argue about the Elgin torture, but the show doesn't really care about them because we're gonna move over to Sarah, who goes upstairs and enters the room with Elgin. This is also a point where I was like, yeah, what is the cops even doing here? Like the show doesn't even care to listen to what she's saying. So
Exactly. Yep.
it was like, okay, clearly anyway, whatever, I'll go on.
Distraction.
Yeah, exactly. So she goes in, Sarah goes into the room with Elgin. She talks about meeting Elgin the first time. She speculates that the place tries to corrupt nice people like them. Elgin tries to talk her into stopping Boyd, but Sarah's not having it. She looks at a screwdriver and says that Boyd didn't go far enough. She picks it up, saying Boyd is good. This place has taken so much from him, and she's already given the place her soul.
Mm.
Back downstairs, Boyd and Acosta are still arguing when they hear yelling. They all go upstairs and they find that Sarah has stabbed Elgin's eye out. She turns around, bloody screwdriver in hand, and says, Fatima's in the root cellar.
Don't do it.
Which is
So,
yeah.
I did what
If you
you
want something
couldn't.
done, if you want something done, get a woman to do it.
So true.
It does make sense in a way that like she's able to go that far because she sort of already has. And so
Yeah.
like she's like, okay, like this is what has to, but also she's doing it for the opposite reason. Like she's not doing it because she believes the plays. She's doing it because she doesn't believe the plays. So
Yeah.
it's like she's doing similar stuff, but for the opposite reason. I don't know. It's
Hmm.
it's a character evolution there,
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, this definitely gets us to the next stage. And really, after this, we're basically in a big end game montage. Like, I almost want to read through the entire rest of the episode from there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry with me.
So yeah, do you mind if I do
Sure,
that?
sure,
And
yeah.
then we
Sure.
can have a free for all.
Sure.
Just talk about everything. There's only
Yeah.
a few
Yeah,
scenes left. Yeah.
it cuts between stuff a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like it's hard to separate it into scenes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jade stands at the bottle tree. I think this is the non-faraway one. I didn't see a hole in there, so I think this is the other one. I'm not quite sure why it's not the faraway one, but anyway, it isn't, I think. And prepares to play the song. He plays, and the music continues over much of the following scenes.
Mm-hmm.
We see Boyd, etc., running to the root cellar. We see Fatima, quote, giving birth with the aid of Kimono Lady. The hatch opens of its own accord. They go into the root cellar. Jade plays. They open the first door. They move the armoire. Fatima continues labor. Finally, a fleshy lump comes out. Kimono Lady takes it through the hatch as the others finally get through the door. Fatima says that the thing took it down there. Boyd tells, I had to. That's what she said. Boyd tells Ellis and Kenny to take Fatima back to Colony House. He wants to go see what's happening down there. He enters with a lantern and a gun. Jade plays. The Ankui kids appear. Jade can see them, but not Jim. Tabitha can see them too, of course. Tabitha tells Jade to keep playing. Ankui girl, perhaps their daughter, I don't know, walks up. Boyd goes through some tunnels. Fatima tells Ellis, I saw them. I saw what they did. Those things that come out at night. I saw what they are. They sacrificed their children because it promised them they would live forever. I want to come back to that point. Kimono Lady takes the lump down in, or lays the lump down in the middle of a circle of presumably all the monsters. We certainly see the ones we know from before. Boyd
Mm-hmm.
watches secretly, and we see the lump grow and form into a new monster. Or is it an old monster? It's old Smiley again. Still smiling. Ankui girl kneels before Tabitha and says Ankui, because that's what she does. Tabitha realizes it means remember. Jade seems to understand at the same time. They both struggle with the realization. Tabitha leaves the area. Jade says, we used to sing them lullabies. Jim follows Tabitha, asking what's going on. Tabitha says, and I'm going to read this, I know why I see those children, why Jade can see them. It's why there's more than one bracelet. I kept making them. Somewhere deep down, I remember. Jim says, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. I don't understand. Tabitha says, it's because we've been here before. Me and Jade. The reason I felt what Miranda felt is because I was Miranda. And Jade. Jade was Christopher. We've come back over and over again because we failed the first time. Jim
Mm.
says, the first time? Tabitha, yes. Jade and I were here at the beginning. We tried to save those children and set them free because one of them was ours. She was our
Mm.
daughter. Jim says, no, no, that's. Tabitha says, it's true. It's true. I feel it. And I need some time, honey. Can you give me some time?
I need a little bit of time. Had a drink.
Jim says yes. And Tabitha walks away to take some time. Jim watches her leave and has a flashback to the drive before they arrived in the From World. He stands by the RV. Julie, 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 shall we say, yells and runs over. She tells Jim to get to town right now. She has cuts on her face. She says, it's not safe. I think this is when it happens. Jim tells her to slow down. Julie says she needs to, quote, change the story. Suddenly, a man in a yellow suit appears. He says, "That was a hell of a song. That Jade sure can play." Jim tells Julie to run. The man says, "This didn't have to happen, you know. Knowledge comes with a cost." Jim threatens him with a large stick. The man says, "I did try to warn you." Jim takes a swing. The man overpowers Jim, grabbing him by the throat, slamming him into the RV. Julie tries to stop him, but he throws her off easily. He says, "Your wife shouldn't have dug that hole, Jim." And he rips Jim's throat out. Julie screams. And we go to credits for season 3. Thank you.
All
Good
right.
night. That is our
Wow.
ending series of events.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's too much, and yet not enough.
Yeah.
Like, let's start backwards. I did try to warn you. Why? Why do you care to warn them?
Good
I don't
question.
understand. You know, that's the thing. Why warn them
I don't know
about a thing
why.
that none of the people before who were reincarnated have been able to succeed at? These people don't seem like they'll be able to get there. But yet you want to warn them away from the realizing something either about the children or about the place. But it's odd. It's odd. It's like if all you're gonna do is kill them and there's no cost to killing, right? It's
Right.
like, oh, we don't want to kill the humans because that's our food, right? So we want to take our time and maybe when a new one comes, we'll kill an old one, but we don't want to kill them all tonight and then have to wait 10 years before we get, like if there was any like logical thing like that, logistical thing, it's just odd that it seems like there's no penalty for them killing. So it's like, well, why even warn them if they're half of their actions get them killed anyway?
Yeah. It's a fair point. I was thinking that, for the amount of time and effort in this episode that goes into them trying to find Fatima, trying to get Elgin to give up the location, by the time they get there, she's already had the baby.
Yeah.
And which we know will happen, and even if they got there before the baby was born, like what the fuck would they do? But
Yeah.
what we do get from this is that, by going down in the hatch, Boyd is able to see, what it was, what it turns into, get a little
Mm-hmm.
glimpse. And there's value to that. I don't know what on earth that information could be used for, but it's
It did seem like a
interesting.
waste of time in a way. Like, okay, great. Now Smiley's back. So what? Like, that doesn't really get us anywhere. Now,
Yeah.
here's a question I don't want to think about is, I mean, the monsters didn't all come from human births like that, right?
Well, that's a question.
Yeah, like,
So
is
if
that how all the monsters were born? Were they sort of reincarnated through this process that Fatima went through?
I mean, it's a great question. I'm prepared to believe that maybe.
I mean, it seems notable to me that it's Smiley, the one who was killed,
Yeah.
who comes
Yeah.
back. So, but he was killed in this really specific, weird way. And I'm like, how many monsters have really died? And like how, I don't know, they all seem to expect it. They all seem to sort of know what the deal was. But I'm just like, how many times has this really happened realistically? You know?
Yeah, yeah. Probably and I'm not gonna assume that sunlight kills them or something. That I'm assuming that's why it was so important for him to be in the dark when it was born or something.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, Born in the
Uh,
Dark. Born in the
Born in
Dark.
the Dark.
Hey.
But
How does that? Yeah, that's unanswered, right? How does that relate to the children? Because we do know the children
Yeah.
were sacrificed, but why were they born in the dark?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah. Was that just poetic license? Were they born in the dark?
Yeah,
I don't know. Unclear. It seems like they shouldn't have been. Like Jade and Tabitha's like ancestor baby. Like, was that baby born in the dark? If so, why?
maybe born in the dark means they were. What if there was a group of people who, crashed into landed in this place, and were stuck there, and then they had children. They had 6 children, and so born in the dark means they were born from this place, like born in the town,
Sure,
you know.
sure, sure.
Uh, and then maybe that's why this is so important and why the sacrifice meant something because they're connected to the town or something like that. And why this is why they're lingering and all that because they were from the town.
Yeah, yeah.
From it's where they're
From
It's where
from.
they're ooh from. I know you like figuring out how to make from fit.
I'm trying.
Uh, I gotta bring up this thing Fatima says because like this just
Oh
came out of
no.
nowhere, right? It's like she just like has this,
Yep.
and there's no explanation like with Jade and Tabitha where they're like
Yeah.
connecting with their
Yep.
former selves and they're getting these like insights from that experience. Like Fatima just like
Yeah.
she says like I saw them, I saw what they like when like we never got to see that. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And then she said those things that come out at night, I saw what they are. They sacrifice their children because it promised them they would live forever. I just want to linger on that for a moment because the
Yeah.
it the it here is a key component. And in season 2 when boy takes Sarah out to the dungeon ruins place, the place where Julie was going, I think.
Yeah.
She uses similar language like it won't stop until you it blah blah blah, right? She kept saying it,
Yeah.
and I was like, what's it? Like, what are you talking about? Who is this
Yeah.
it? You know? So it's like it seems like the show is leading into the idea that there is this overall entity there that maybe
Mm-hmm.
is in charge and maybe is the one that's like granting things or like controlling things
Yeah.
on a higher level, I guess. And that was the one that gave them the offer, you sacrifice your kids and then you can live forever, and it was like
But like, why do they want to live forever in this place? As these, obviously, it was a Faustian bargain, right? I'm assuming they
yeah,
didn't know they'd be monsters,
probably
right?
not, probably not. I mean, I don't know that for sure,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I just wonder what was the hardship that they were going under to where living forever without their children was the ideal goal
it's
or
a
the
good
best case
question. I
scenario.
feel like that's something they should answer. I mean, like generically, people have wanted to live forever. There's stories about that. That's kind of how
Mhm.
I took it, but it is worth noting that now they might have been trapped there, you know,
Yeah.
but there weren't monsters, so
Yeah.
it wasn't as bad, presumably. You
Unless there
know,
was other things.
Maybe there
Yeah, it
were other
depends on what.
things. I mean, there was this
Yeah.
it who,
There was this it.
made this crazy offer. You
I
know.
also wonder if this line is really when we get to the more reveals, we'll unpack it and it'll be slightly different. Like they're
Hmm.
truncating it. It might
Yeah.
be that the entity promised them anything and they chose
They
to
chose to
live
live
forever, but they
forever.
could have chose
Yeah.
something else. You
Like
know what I
Richard
mean? It
Halford.
could be that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could be that, the actual offer is something more general
Right. Right.
and not specifically, well, I can grant you unlimited life, but you'll be a monster and you'll eat people.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 So I guess on a related note, could it be that Man in the Yellow Coat is it?
I think he's it, but I think he works for it.
Okay. Do you think he's a
Yeah, I
level
don't think
below
we.
it?
Yeah, I don't think it shows up in the last scene of a finale and then like that, and then yeah,
Okay. Just
I think it's
checking.
something. There was um somebody online was talking about like a red creature in a painting or something that people are thinking is the it. There was like some painting. I don't remember if it was Miranda's painting or something. I'd have to find the post, but
Oh, okay.
anyway, the other thing I was gonna just bring up is why Fatima. Why was she the one who got pregnant versus any other woman or man for that matter? But I guess women makes more sense.
Hmm.
Um,
It does seem like it shouldn't be necessary because it's all supernatural, but Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's they just wrote it that way because it seems more normal to them, much like things that happen on Star Trek that are just strangely similar to Earth human things.
Yeah.
God, I love when they have a phrase, it's like whatever idiom, but
Yep.
it's like something we would say. It's like
Yep.
you guys wouldn't be saying that 400 years from now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And especially like Ferengi, who aren't even speaking English, shouldn't be saying
Yeah,
that,
God,
but
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I could
But yeah,
complain about
to
the
your point,
Universal Translator all day, but this is not that podcast.
yeah. The thing with Fatima was strange that she got some memories about what was happening through her birth. That was strange. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. And I just thought it was strange. Like, I wondered why they included this because it doesn't really tell us anything that the other scenes don't tell us, also. So I
yeah.
started to wonder, like, is it telling us this just to like validate it more, just to make it more convincing, so we're not like, oh, what if it's all a lie and it's just a manipulation or something? Like if they have Fatima see it too, then it's like it gives more weight. I don't know.
I think they wanted it for the voiceover for this part more than anything else. I think it fit, but it was just strange the
Yeah.
word she used. She says, "Those things that come out at night, I saw what they are." So not who they are, what they are, which seems to be like what they're made of, or she knows they're monsters, so she's not talking about that. But then
Well,
she says they sacrifice their children. But how does that relate to what they are?
yeah,
Isn't that who they are?
I think this
They
is
are
going to
who?
be, yeah, I think this is going to be a Claude problem point.
Yeah,
Because I
classic.
think what she means is like how they got to be the way they are,
Okay, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
where they came from. Like
I saw there. Okay, I'll buy that. Okay,
yeah, that's how I'm interpreting it. But yeah, I think if you're thinking like, are they going to go into the
yeah.
details of like what is a monster? I don't think so.
Well, or like the fact that it was born that way gives us a clue about what they are.
Hmm.
They're a parasite or they're a,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I won't
whatever.
rule it out. It's just not what I thought. I thought it was more
Yeah,
about the revelation because of the other stuff she says. It seemed like it was more about the
yeah,
origin of the monsters, where they came from, who they were before, and so on.
yeah. It was strange to get those lines again when we already knew that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It struck me as odd that they like give Fatima this insight out
Oh,
of
but maybe
nowhere.
it's just for the other characters, for Boyd and them. They
It
didn't
might be.
know. Yeah.
Because yeah, they need like when we come back for season 4, there's presumably going to be some fallout from all this, and
If the first episode in season 4 is not them all sitting around a table and talking about what they went through, jeez.
it really takes them way too long to share things.
Yeah.
In general, one of my major frustrations with this show, but I don't know. They get there eventually sometimes.
And so this is what the kimono lady wanted help with. She
Yep,
wanted Elgin's help in safely delivering baby Smiley.
yep, yep.
And yeah, I guess it's just an open question of what she is and why this is her role. And
Well, you know what else needs to happen now is all right. When we going home, kimono lady, let's do it. Where we, she did the thing. She
oh,
did the thing we wanted. Are we supposed to go home now?
lol, lol.
Anybody?
Yeah,
Crickets? Okay, fine.
yeah, yeah.
It's just like
Yeah, what's Elgin? What's one-eyed Elgin gonna say when
that's
they're not home?
exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it just seems like, well, now's the time to hold up your end of the bargain because you got your monster baby. So now what?
Yeah.
You know?
They also bungled the whole Tilly death, so no one's gonna find out Fatima did. Nobody
No,
cares anymore.
nobody's gonna care. Yeah, that was merely. I feel like that was merely a contrivance. Like they could have written that a different way though.
Yeah.
Like a different way to get Elgin to take Fatima to the root cellar. Like they're already both living in Colony House. They did not need to have this like
They were already friends.
I
Yeah.
guess the murderous thing was supposed to be a clue that like the baby was something sinister, and that is true. Like Smiley is
Yeah.
like the most sinister of the monsters. So like it sort of makes sense in that way, I guess. But it feels like pretty pointless for the most part.
Is speaking of points, is the point about Smiley's rebirth that like it's useless to try to kill the monsters because if you kill one of them, then
They'll
someone's
just
just
be
gonna have to
Yeah,
birth
I mean,
him
it's
back to
basically
life?
it's almost impossible to kill them anyway, and so
yeah.
then to see that
Yeah.
this, yeah, and yeah,
I mean, imagine Boyd or whoever having to tell the townspeople that Fatima gave birth to a monster.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting conversation.
Uh,
get the
I
bell. Yeah, I don't love it, and I think, I raised at the beginning these questions about, okay, how does the creation of the monsters actually relate to this
yeah.
this act of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sacrifice my children in order to live forever. Are those the parents who sacrifice children to live forever? How did the children of other townsfolks, like specifically Tabitha, proto Tabitha and Jade, how did they apparently escape that fate? Was it because they didn't actually participate, but their children were taken anyway?
I think that's what they were saying. I don't know for sure, but
hmm
that was my understanding.
And then, so then is the man in the yellow suit, is he the sort of like traveling salesman who goes to this town and the Civil War or whenever and is like, I can help every one of you last forever. All you got to do is send me your children and I'm gonna have them give birth in the dark. No, I'm like, that's the other thing. I feel like there's two
hmm
things going on with that. One is the idea of children who are already born being locked up in caves, in cages. And there's that. And then there's kids who are already born being strapped to slabs of stone in
hmm
that one ruin back when it wasn't a ruin. And then there's this like they were born in the dark thing.
It feels like that fits more with the monster
I
birth.
agree, but when they said it, it sounded
That's
like
not what
it
they were talking
was
about. They were
Well, and
talking
don't forget
about
that the kids on the altar, all already look emaciated and hair loss and white and pale. They look like they're undead already.
yeah, I don't know
So
why
it
they
could
look
be
like
that
that.
they were kept underground and sort of tortured or abused or at
okay.
least neglected to some degree before
Okay.
they were even sacrificed.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's reasonable to
Because it
believe.
could be like maybe maybe there was something to hide from in the town. If it wasn't the monsters, it was something
Mm-hmm.
else. And they were like, okay, kids, you have to stay underground. You have to stay in the tunnels. And the kids are mischievous, or whatever, getting out, so they have to lock them up. And then it just maybe just becomes more sinister, sort of unintentionally to a certain degree, until
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know they're like, okay, final straw. We don't know what we're doing. We're the parents are losing their minds, the monster's playing tricks on them and gives them this offer,
Yeah.
you know. And it could be that it tricked them and said you'll all live forever. And it's like, well, I didn't say your kids would be. I'm not going to tell you that you'll be monsters and your kids will be ghosts.
Right, right. Ugh. Yeah.
But they
Not a
could
good
also
bargain.
be saved, right? I think that's the other thing that's weird. Is the place just always making bargains? Like every
Well,
bargain.
now here's what I don't get understand is the only idea of them being saved are from the original parents wanting to save them. Again, I think I'm correct. The time to save them has passed. Now, maybe you can time travel or story walk or something to undo the past. That's one option A. Option B is that they're in some sort of purgatory now they could be released from that would effectively
Yeah.
undo the past. Option B, I guess. So that's more what you're thinking, right?
Uh,
That like there's something they can do now that
yes.
mitigates what happened, but it doesn't sort of undo it.
It might just be that they're cursed to like stay there and like haunt the reincarnations who show up until
Yeah.
until they are released from that. But it's not going to undo the original sacrifice, I think, or the monster creation or all that.
Because yeah, and that's what I was gonna say with the boy in white. What I think his story this season was that back in the day, he told Christopher the whole deal. He said,
Yeah.
"Hey, you're a reincarnated person. You and your
Yeah.
wife were trying to save one of the kids. You failed. This is why you're here. In order to save the kids, you got to go." Now, this is where it breaks down for me. In order to save the kids, you got to go to the bottle tree. Blah blah blah. Because to me, I say it breaks down because I'm like, I think he's already too late to save them. But for whatever reason, the boy in white says, "Go to the tree." Christopher freaks out, says, "No, I'm not a reincarnated person. This doesn't make any sense. I'm not doing anything." But Miranda hears, "Save the kids, go to the tree." So she does it. And then the boy in white, earlier this season with Tabitha, or last season, I guess his point was, I want to have her remember on her own she's reincarnated. It's too much to tell them directly.
Right.
They won't
Yeah.
believe me. So I'll
Yeah.
let her discover it herself by sending her back to Miranda's house.
Yeah.
Let her rediscover the mystery herself, which she got some details. She saw the paintings, the kids,
Yep.
the visions, and the bracelet, but didn't put two and two together until this episode.
Yeah.
And it's like the boy in white was just like, well, that's all I wanted to let them know is that they're reincarnated. But I guess my thing is like, how does that help them leave?
Yeah.
Didn't he say that would help them leave?
Well, I thought that's the whole point of him helping in general was to get them to not be in here. But maybe I'm just adding that on my own. Maybe he never promised that.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't say it, but maybe he did and I forgot. I don't know.
I thought, well, I just assumed that was the whole point of him helping for them to escape. But maybe that's wrong. Maybe the most he can do is help them remember.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm still wondering about this is the only way, like there's still like a question mark there. This is the only way what? Like,
That you'll remember.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'll buy
yeah,
that. I'll buy that.
yeah, that you'll remember.
Sure, sure.
I do want to also say, is the boy in white like one of the kids who didn't get sacrificed or something? Or he
Mm-hmm.
got sacrificed, but he was cured? Like, why is he also white, but
Yeah.
he's not in bad, shabby
And he
clothes and he
doesn't
has
just
all his
say
hair?
Ankui, and he can
And he doesn't just say,
appear
"Oh,
like
cooey."
he can appear to anyone seemingly, not just certain people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it's a valid thing to wonder about. I mean, in terms of it versus the boy in white, what's the connection there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boy in white just strutting around.
Yep,
Being unhelpful.
very
Yeah.
unhelpful.
Yeah. Well, wow. Another season
So yeah,
in the
Yeah.
books.
mistakes are made. I do think that they burned some time. I think they burned time in every season, but yeah, maybe they burned a little more this
Yeah.
season.
I
Um,
think they did.
I think there's definitely
Uh,
been some interesting developments, but
yeah.
and I'm not like off the show or anything, but yeah, I do wish they had spread it around a little more. It did feel like they packed everything into the end, which is what I was worried they were gonna do. So
Yeah, they do that a lot on shows.
yeah.
Um, I want to quickly point out something that was interesting I saw on Reddit saying there seems to be a connection between Elgin and the soldier and the pilgrim near the Red Rocks. Um,
Really?
so this person was saying, Five Leaf Clover on Reddit was saying that they're all missing the same eye, like in
Oh,
this kind of cyclical
I was
thing.
gonna bring that up, but I wasn't sure if it meant anything. But
Yeah.
that
Oh
is true.
god.
That guy
And
was
so the
stabbed through the same
pilgrim,
eye.
yeah, and the pilgrim, remember he had like they're claiming this was an infant skull and was drinking blood from it,
True.
implicating an infant sacrifice or maybe implicating Fatima's baby.
Ah, yeah.
Elgin gave his blood to feed the baby.
Yeah.
So anyway, somebody mentioned that. I thought that was interesting because I wonder if there is sort of analogs for everybody in town.
Yeah,
That they
yeah.
other people are sort of maybe not
Reincarnations.
reincarnate. Well, I was gonna say maybe they're not reincarnations directly, but they're reliving. This town just has these symmetries that it forces,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
things in
yeah.
different cycles.
Yeah, repeating cycles or whatever. Uh, kind of like that Battlestar Galactica thing, It's happened before, it'll happen again. But it isn't like
Hmm.
literally the same. It's just more of a
Uh,
pattern.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And with the guy in the yellow jacket, something that was interesting, I forgot what it was. I was reading something the other day, right, like the day before I saw this episode, and somebody, oh, actually, it was a From forum, and they were talking about something, and somebody made an offhanded comment about a Stephen King book, and they referenced Low
Low
Men
men in yellow
in Yellow
coats. I
Coat.
did think about that. I wasn't sure if there was
Yeah, and
any
it's
particular
so I
relevance,
went down a
but
little rabbit hole to see what that was, and it's from the short story collection Hearts in Atlantis.
yep.
And anyway, first of all, I was like, yellow coats, yellow jackets. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's a
Hey.
connection. But so I don't really know, Justin. Do you know what that reference is? Those are like antagonists in the story or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, they're these characters who work for the bad guy who pick up like psychic characters to bring them into the
Ah,
Dark Tower world to try to like break the Dark Tower. That's more or less the idea.
okay.
It's a Dark Tower tie-in thing that happens in that story.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to bring that up. I thought that was interesting. Maybe that's a connection of why he's a man in yellow.
I thought that because that's my association with a low man in a yellow coat. Because it's like a specific image that I associate with that story. But yeah, I didn't. I mean, I can imagine it's an influence. I mean, I know, on Lost, like they talked about Stephen King routine. I mean, they explicitly mentioned Stephen King in
Yes.
Lost. So he was clearly, but I think he could have been an influence on these writers as well, and so maybe it is like kind of a reference, like a winking reference.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely doesn't seem like the same thing, at least not so far. I mean, there is sort of this other world thing happening. He does seem to be a bad guy, you know.
Yep.
There's a tower,
Yep.
but yeah, other than that, much like, yeah, there's a man in black on Lost and there's a boy in white. I don't know, it's sort of like there's people take things from things. I don't know. That would be my
Yeah.
speculation about that. That it's maybe a reference.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, that's all the big stuff I had.
Yeah, it's been an exciting well, that's not quite true. I was gonna say it's been an exciting season, but I think we have
Yeah.
established that we all
I
were kind of hoping for
yeah.
more.
It started
Yeah.
off
Um,
strong. I feel like the
Did
first
start
two
off strong.
episodes were great,
Yes.
and then like
Yeah.
it kind of muddled
I
about for a
just don't
while.
know. I'm wary about where this is heading. I'm very wary about where this is heading. This whole focus on the children unnerves me. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
I'm not necessarily against it, but I do agree that it has pitfalls.
Yeah.
I think like it's to me it's kind of about how they do it that will determine how I feel about it. So when we get more on it, I might change my mind, but yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like there's always disappointment when you get answers,
I
almost no matter what
agree.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
and I think the answer isn't totally uninteresting. So yeah, anyway, I don't know. I feel like it could have been worse, but I share your worry for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
Well,
Uh
thanks for having me, guys. It's been fun
Yeah,
joining
thanks for
y'all this
joining
season.
Thanks
us.
Yeah.
for being here. Glad you could join us for this like big ending bit here.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this is where the things happened.
Yeah.
All the
Where the
things.
things happen. Yeah, well, I guess we will talk with some of the rest of you again when Yellow Jackets is back.
Yes, yes. It will be back. I've heard tale that they're making the third season. So yeah, we'll definitely be back with that. Maybe a bonus cast or two. But yeah. Until
Until
next
then,
time.
yeah, buzz, buzz,
Buzz, buzz,
buzz.
buzz.